I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 38 of Tales from Godric's Hollow, the number one magical creature podcast on the internet, according to Hagrid. If you ask him, I'm sure he will agree. I am one of your hosts. I am the muggle of the show. I am Josh Brown. I am joined by the man with two working eyeballs, the professor himself, Matt Sonnenberg. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Josh. Honestly, it took me a little bit to realize why you even gave me that intro.
Sure.
What did I do this week? Did I injure my eye?
No, you did not.
Okay, yeah, okay.
It's just refreshing to
board.
talk to a professor with two functioning eyeballs, Matt.
Yep.
This chapter kind of, skews that normality just a little bit here, so we have to acknowledge, the fact that one eye is not going all over the place for you.
Yes. I mean, to be fair, he does have two functioning eyes, but they're functioning a little bit differently.
I am not 100% sure of that yet.
Okay.
I don't know to the extent of the one wild eye that our good friend Moody has to offer, but I'm intrigued. I am definitely intrigued.
That's good.
I like the color differentiation too. Like that looks fun, or seems like it's going to be fun to look at. I don't know. Eyes are interesting, Matt.
They are.
I went and got my eyes checked recently.
Yeah,
a couple days ago. First time in forever. I figured.
How'd that go for you?
Well, I need glasses, so
Really?
Yeah.
Have you've I'm assuming just never had glasses then?
About 9 years ago, I got a prescription for some glasses because I was having a little hard time seeing at night while I was driving.
Okay.
Mainly signs and stuff, nothing like dramatic.
The car in front of you.
Yeah, no, nothing that was going to keep me off the road, or take away my license. But then I ended up never wearing them. I didn't feel like they were really doing much for me.
Sure.
But just, over the last few years, kind of, you may know what I'm talking about here. You kind of sit on the couch and you're looking at the TV and you find yourself just squinting just a little bit sometimes to read, some sort of text that's on the bottom, closed captioning, or
sure,
text in video games specifically.
Yes. They're. I hate to say it, but video games are getting really bad.
Yeah,
they are starting to assume more and more that people have these giant 60-inch screens,
right?
And so when you go and play it on a 40-inch screen, which used to be just fine,
right,
but the print is just tiny.
Yeah,
it's so tiny.
I think the last time we upgraded our TV last year to a 70-inch or something, I was just like, oh my goodness, I can see the words clearly. This is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't have to just buy a bigger TV to read
exactly.
that stuff. So it's been a lot of soul searching over the last year, Matt, to where I decided that, you know what, maybe it's not the TV. Maybe it's not the media that I'm consuming. Maybe it's actually me. So turns out I need a slight prescription, but that means I got to pick out some really cool glasses, which I'm excited for.
Yeah.
I've always felt like I've been a glasses type of guy. Both of my parents needed glasses. I've kind of been surprised that I haven't really needed them up until now.
Yeah, you're kind of like my brother. He is the only person in my entire extended family even that I know that doesn't have glasses.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I'm excited. Like I was telling the doctor, throughout my life, I've kind of always wondered what the quote unquote normal eye functionality should be. Like, how far should I really be able to see before it starts to get blurry? Like,
Yeah.
For yourself, all you have to compare is your own eyeballs, right? Like, you
Sure.
can't look through somebody else's eyes and see what they see and see, and compare the two or whatever.
Well, with virtual reality.
Well, that's true. Even that's a little sketchy. But, I've always kind of wondered, like, where do I fall on that scale of, like, how far am I actually supposed to be able to see, or how clear am I supposed to see certain signs or whatnot? So I'm excited to finally get them and kind of just have that just added sharpness to everything,
Yeah.
So
I remember those days, getting new glasses.
Yeah.
But I'm past all that now.
You're a contacts guy?
Well, let's see. 8th grade or so, I got my first pair of glasses. High school, went to contacts. Shortly after, a couple years later, I ended up going back to glasses because I just got sick of the contacts.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, let's see. It's probably 2 or 3 years ago now. I actually had LASIK.
Oh, okay.
So I'm seeing very clearly right now.
Sure.
I go in for my yearly checkup, and every year my eye doctor's like, "Wow, they did a really nice job with your eyes." Like, she's just so impressed. Like, that she doesn't see anything. The scarring cleared up very nicely, and all good to go.
Sure. Yeah, I can't do contacts. I'm very much afraid and squeamish about eyeballs.
Sure. I know a lot of people are.
Yeah, just the thought
I've
of
never quite been that way.
Touching my eyes, unbearable.
Yeah, I wore contacts for a number of years. I had no problem with it.
Sure. Fun thing though, the doctor, she was like, "Have you ever had any eye trauma before?" I'm like, "Well, now that you mention it, when I was a kid, I shot a rubber band into my eyeball." She was like, "Yeah, I can see the scar. It's not affecting your vision, but I could definitely see the scar in your eyeball." I'm like, "Oh, that's
interesting.
That's fascinating."
Yeah.
Battle wounds on my eyeballs. Do you remember those planes that you could you attach the rubber band to and you'd pull the plane? It was like styrofoam. Yeah. You'd pull it way back and then you let go and the plane would go flying into the air.
In theory.
In theory, yeah. Well, if you put that rubber band around like a metal post sticking out of the ground to get like maximum loadage on the rubber band, sure. Eventually those rubber bands break, Matt. There is a breaking point to rubber.
Yep. Yeah. There's a breaking point for everything.
Yeah. Well,
just have to find it.
Well, I found it right in my eyeball because it snapped back and hit me right in the eye. So
it left a lasting mark.
Apparently so. Yeah. I remember getting it checked out as a kid, and they're like, "No, you got lucky. It didn't do any damage." But apparently the scar's still there. Yeah. So anyway, these are going to be a couple of fun chapters to talk about, Matt. I'm going to lay this out here right now. These might be my 2 favorite chapters that I've read in a very long time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure, like, I know we had some quote-unquote boring chapters at the beginning of this book, but there have also been some very enjoyable chapters for you.
Sure. And there was also some really powerful, monumentous chapters at the end of the 3rd book. So when I say that these are my 2 favorite chapters, like back-to-back sequentially in a long time, that's a pretty big statement that I'm making. But after reading them last night, sitting on them all night, all day, kind of reflecting, now that we've kind of getting to the point where we're starting to talk about them, I'm still excited about them as I was when we immediately finished last night. So
awesome.
A lot of things to talk about. I made a lot of notes, Matt. I'm not going to try to bore everybody with my ridiculous notes that I made. But apparently some people are already enjoying them and liking them. And
it's true. Our patrons are loving them.
Yeah. I enjoy that, and I'm glad that they find humor in it. But sometimes I look back at them when we do these shows, and I have to ask myself what I was thinking, or like I'm trying to pinpoint the exact mood I was in.
Sure.
It's tough sometimes, Matt. It's tough to go back and relive that specific moment. But I tell you what, like, for the people that are seeing these notes, they are 100% as genuine as I could possibly make them. As the words are being read to me, I am typing furiously and getting excited. And sometimes I'll have to stop and like, hold on, I need to catch up. Like, this is too much. But yeah, these 2 chapters, man, this was a fun week of Harry Potter reading for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. Before we get into all that, though, Matt, we have some details, some housekeeping to take care of. But
very true.
The best kind of housekeeping, Matt. You know, we don't just clean up stuff, take out the trash, move about our day. No. Our housekeeping consists of giving away free and awesome stuff because we love you guys. The wonderful people over at Patreon love you guys because they're the ones sponsoring all these podcasts.
That's true.
Thank you to them. Thank you to our headmistress, Mel B, for being so awesome.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mel.
In the land down under. It always surprises me like how quickly she listens to these episodes too, because like I try to do the math in my head of like what time it is. I never get it right, but it's just in my head it's always sleep time in Australia.
Sure.
No matter what time it is here.
It's like if I'm awake, they're sleeping. That's how it works.
That's how time works, right? Yeah, so thank you to her. Thank you to everybody over at Patreon. All of your support over there is allowing us to do these weekly giveaways. We're having a lot of fun with them. We hope you guys, the community, are having fun as well. I do want to say this here. There seems to be maybe a little bit of confusion about giveaways and whatnot. We try not to give people multiple victories in the giveaways on a weekly basis. We try to spread it out as much as possible. So even if you won a giveaway recently, we still encourage you to participate because all in all, this is trying to build a community here, build interaction with all of you guys. So like, even if you just won, like you could still enter the next one, even if it's just to be like, hey, I know I can't win, but here's this, here's that, you know, that sort of thing. We still want your participation. We still want you guys to be active.
Especially on weeks like this past week when we asked you to send in some pictures. Like, we want to see your stuff. Even if you just won and you're not eligible to win again or whatever the case may be, like, we want you to send in your pictures and share things with us.
Right.
That's why we do the giveaways in this manner.
Right. I mean, the iTunes reviews, you don't have to do anything. You've already entered. Exactly. You're good. But like everything else, yeah, we definitely want to encourage participation, even if it's just, you know, for a participation trophy, because you know what? Everybody deserves to be a part of something. And here, you're a part of everything that we do. So, last week, we offered up a replica Quidditch set.
Very true.
With all the different things to play Quidditch, sans the broom. You got to find one of those on your own. But if you wanted to take this set of quaffles and such and go play Quidditch, you could do that. You could. The giveaway consisted of tweeting at us. That's right, using Twitter. It's a very fun social media tool. We enjoy it. You could tweet at us at Tales from GH, like a few of you did this week. And I basically wanted you guys to show off your Harry Potter gear. I got several new Harry Potter shirts in last week. I was excited about them. I wanted to see what you guys were rocking out there as far as Harry Potter is concerned. I encourage you to use the hashtag #ShowTheMuggle. And we got some entries. We appreciate all of them, all your t-shirts, all your gear. They look phenomenal. I will say that. I'm kind of jealous. There's Matt, every time I go on Amazon knows me now. And it's just like, hey, you want to see this Harry Potter stuff? Hey, you want to see this Hufflepuff beanie?
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's like, you just bought this. You might also like.
All it's showing me is this Hufflepuff stuff. It really is. Hufflepuff beanies and Newt Scamander scarves and
Amazon knows.
Yeah. Oh, it knows. It knows me hard. So it's a dangerous thing, Matt. I could go to Amazon for anything, and now it's just like my first thing is, what can I search for Harry Potter related that, is not going to get me in trouble?
Sure.
I figure if I stay with just house stuff, I'm going to be fine on the first few searches at least.
Hopefully.
I mean, I'm not looking up anything Slytherin or Gryffindor related, so main story plots are absent from my Google searches, but until Hufflepuff does something interesting in the story or Ravenclaw becomes a thing,
we exist.
Allegedly. So people are tweeting at us, Matt, showing us their gear. They're showing the Muggle off their Harry Potter stuff. A lot of fun. But we have to pick a winner from this group of individuals, Matt.
It's true.
There were 7 entries total.
There were 7 entries.
Somebody is going to get lucky here and win a Quidditch set.
All right. I have them nice and mixed up for you.
Yes.
So I need a number, 1 through 7.
What book are we on, Matt?
We are on book number 4.
There's your number.
4. All right. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4 goes to Taryn Decker.
Oh, congratulations, Taryn. Awesome.
So Taryn, either you get a hold of me or I'll get a hold of you, or one way or the other, we'll get you your Quidditch set.
Yes. What was Taryn wearing? Remind me.
She is wearing. I solemnly swear I'm up to no good.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Very nice shirt.
Yes. There's a lot of those shirts out there. Like you probably saw, whether you recognize that's one of those shirts you probably didn't necessarily recognize as a Harry Potter shirt.
Sure.
Because
100%.
Even when you went last time, you hadn't made it to book 3 yet.
Right.
So yeah, but I know when I went down to the parks, those shirts were all over the place. There are many variations of it, but yeah, it's a very popular phrase.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you used it for our theme song, Matt.
It's true.
I knew it was in Harry Potter at some point. I just didn't know to what extent or why it was important. So, yeah. So congratulations, Taryn. Thank you to everybody that participated. Definitely like seeing your stuff. That was definitely a lot of fun, Matt.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I will say this, just as I do every week, we have another giveaway coming up at the end of the show.
Also true.
So if you're here just for the giveaways, just fast forward that sucker all the way to the end. Try to find it.
Good luck.
Good luck. But it's going to be fun. You have no idea what I have planned.
Once again, I have no idea what you have planned. It's as much a surprise to me as it is to everybody else.
But those are the best, Matt. Those are the best.
Yep.
One other bit of housekeeping I want to address now. We will hit on it at the end of the show as well. Okay. But we might as well take a few minutes before we get started to kind of announce this thing and make it real. Mark your calendars. So everybody pull over the side of the road or whatever you're doing, pull out your phone. If you have a desk calendar, flip it to April. If you just have sticky notes, whatever your calendar of choice is, go over to April 9th. Just right now, just find April 9th in your calendar. Just go ahead and do that. 5 p.m. Pacific time. Because the West Coast is the best coast. We are going to do our very own Tales from Godric's Hollow AMA. And
for those of you who don't know what AMA stands for, because I found it's not as common an acronym as I thought. But
really?
AMA, yeah. I've already had to explain it to a few people.
Okay, fair enough.
But AMA stands for Ask Me Anything.
Sure. You also kind of took the dramatics out of my whole announcement here, Matt.
Yeah?
No, not really. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Ask Me Anything. It's an AMA. It's a term they use on Reddit. It's basically just a Q&A session with people who have interesting things to talk about, people that other people want to know more about. Essentially, this is the opportunity to ask questions and get answers. So we're going to do that. How did this come about, Matt?
So this actually came from our Patreon group. At the $5 level, our fans get access to the room of requirement. And in this room, they were having a conversation one day, and they basically described that they wanted an episode where they got to learn more about you and me, the hosts.
Right.
And so basically said, well, sure, we can have an AMA. And that's where I was talking. Like, only about half the people in the room understood what I meant when I said AMA.
Sure.
They had to explain it to the other half.
So they knew what they wanted. They just didn't know how to exactly ask for it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. They knew they wanted an episode where they could ask us questions, even if they aren't related to Harry Potter.
Right.
Like, they just want to know about us.
Yes.
So this is going to be your chance to do that.
Yeah. It's going to go up for everybody to listen to as a Butterbeer Banter episode. So everyone will get a chance to listen to it and enjoy it. However, there are two different ways to participate in the AMA, the Q&A for the old school folks out there. Number one, this is going to be a live broadcast for Patreon members.
Yes.
At any tier, if you are a patron of us, of Tales from Godric's Hollow, you will have access to the live stream of the AMA.
Yep.
Which means you could hang out in the chat room, you could harass us, you could push us for better answers if we're not giving up the dirt that you want to hear about. Whatever the case is, it will be a fun live experience for those folks. They're the ones that requested it. We are going to cater to them as much as possible by making it live for them. Now, again, it will be recorded. It will go up on the normal podcast feed for everybody to listen to, so you're not going to be missing much. I mean, you'll miss what's being said in the chat room and so forth, but, content-wise, it's all going to be there, just not at the moment it's happening.
Yeah, you'll get to hear all the questions and all the answers. You won't be able to be with us live. Yep.
So if you want to participate in that, and you're not already supporting us on Patreon, you have until the end of March to get on that. That will enter you for to getting the live link on April 9th for that show.
Yes.
Option number 2 to participate. And this is where I feel like the majority of the participation is going to come from, which is exciting. We are going to open up the AMA to every listener out there. If you have a question for one or both of us, it doesn't have to be specifically for both of us. If you have individual questions about either one of us, that's totally fine. However you want to, make it happen, all you have to do is send in an email. talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com. Please send it in separately than your normal weekly email. Put AMA episode or Q&A episode, or have some sort of special title so that Matt, when he gets the email, can put it right in a folder and he knows exactly what it is. We don't want to get it mixed up with the normal weekly emails. So please address it differently so it's easy to figure out. But put in the questions that you have for us, what you want to know about, what you want us to talk about, what you want us to explain, dish out, whatever the case is. Yeah, we're going to be open books for one night only, Matt.
You got it.
Yeah. Which I'm excited to ask you some questions, Matt. I got some questions. I don't know if it works like that, but
yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean,
if we have time.
I do support you on Patreon, Matt, so...
That's true.
That entitles me to at least one question.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, we want you guys to have fun with it. So we're going to be doing that on Sunday, September 9th.
April?
Sunday, April 9th.
There you go.
Why was I thinking September? How did I get that far ahead?
No idea. I have to guess that September 9th is probably not even a Sunday.
No, probably not.
It is not.
That'd be weird. Sunday, April 9th, we're going to be doing this. So I would say like the deadline would be like April 8th, Saturday, the day before. Yeah. So we could gather all the emails and make sure we're ready to go.
Yep. For those of you who have listened to Josh on other shows, you know we've been through this AMA style episode before, and I can say it takes a while to sort through the questions usually and kind of line them up in a nice order for the show.
Yeah.
So getting them in early would be appreciated.
Absolutely. So you have less than 3 weeks, but still plenty of time to send in your emails with your questions. Like I said, either for both of us, one of us, however you want to do it. talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com. Put in the header AMA or Q&A or whatever you want to call it. And we're going to have a lot of fun with it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to finding out what the people are curious about regarding us. Maybe nobody wants to know anything about us, Matt. Maybe we could just have a kickback episode.
Yeah, I'm feeling someone had some questions somewhere because, like I said, this was not our idea. This was the audience's idea. So someone has a question.
When you sprang it on me, you're like, just heads up, this isn't my idea.
Exactly. It's like, I didn't bring it up to them. They brought it up to me. So.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you might be lying to me. I would never know. I'm not allowed in that room.
Yeah, I could take a screenshot for you.
I'm not required. Or room of requirement? What is it called?
It's called the room of requirement. Yes.
I do not have the requirements to enter that room, Matt.
There you go.
Whatever the requirements may be. Do you need the Goblet of Fire to go into the room of requirements?
Someday you'll find out.
Dang it. So close. April 9th, 5 p.m. Pacific time. AMA. Ask me anything. Ask Muggles anything. Ask the Muggle anything. Ask Matt anything. Look at this. It fits so well, Matt. Wow. This is meant to be.
Yep. I
need to make some graphics for this.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, boy. Okay. Enough housekeeping. Enough funny business, Matt. We need to get to serious conversations about Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, the 4th book in the series. This week, covering chapters 12 and 13. Let's do it.
All right. Chapter 12.
Yeah.
The Triwizard Tournament. Exciting title already.
It weirds me out that it's not hyphenated.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like it should be a hyphenated word.
Wait. Like Triwizard?
Yeah. Tri-wizard.
Nah. She's making up words anyway. She can do what she wants.
I know. It just bugs me.
Fine. Anyway, I think it looks better this way.
I don't like the red squiggly line underneath it. That's all.
Oddly enough, I don't get a red squiggly line in my notes.
Did you add it to your dictionary? Because I'm sure this isn't the first time you've ever typed it in your life.
No, I did not add that one to my dictionary.
How about that?
All right. New characters. We actually have a pretty healthy list because this chapter went through another sorting ceremony. So take that for what you will. Whether or not we'll see these names again, I'll let you be the judge there. But I'll just run through these quickly. The first one we get is Dennis Creevy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he actually gets a couple more mentions in this chapter already. So there you go. Yeah. But then we have Stuart Ackerley, Malcolm Baddock, Eleanor Branstone, Owen Caldwell, Emma Dobbs, Laura Madley, Natalie McDonald, Graham Pritchard, Orla Quirky, and Kevin Whitby.
It's a whole bunch of new kids.
A whole bunch of first years.
I did appreciate the reference of it being Harry's first sorting hat ceremony since his first year.
Yeah. Like you don't even necessarily realize it. I think in books 2 and 3, at least in one of them, I forget which one, but I can recall. Like I think he mentions like he missed the ceremony.
Right.
But most of the time, you're just too concerned with whatever else he's doing. Like in book 2, they crashed a flying car and they're getting beat up by a whomping willow, and then Snape's there, and like you don't even think about the sorting ceremony. It's just gone out of your head. It's like, oh, now we're at the feast. Okay,
yeah,
not a big deal. But like Harry's already been sorted, so what's it matter?
Right. Well, I mean, it's still a fun event. I mean, not for Ron.
Well, we find out now that it's still a fun event, even if you're not the one being sorted.
Yeah, unless you're hungry.
It's true.
Yeah. Were those the only new names?
Yeah, that's all we got. Just the kids and the sorting.
Okay. Still, it's a healthy list, like you said.
Yep.
This chapter was long, but it packed in so much.
Yeah. Like I thought it kind of flew by compared to, especially compared to like last week's chapters. It kind of felt like they were drug out a little bit.
Yeah.
But this chapter kind of flew by, even though it was fairly lengthy.
Sure, lengthy. Yes. When I say long, I don't mean that it dragged on at all, because it was just one thing after another, and by the end of it, it's just like, wow, where'd all that time go? But there was just so much happening, and I think these were my 2 favorite chapters in a long time, for the simple reason of Hogwarts is where all the magic happens. Like, all puns attended there. Like, that is it's the heart of these books is Hogwarts. And
exactly. That's why I think you always have a hard time with the beginnings of books, not just because there's recap and that sort of thing, not because we hate the Dursleys, but it's because you just can't wait for him to get back to Hogwarts, because like you said, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah. I mean, Privet Drive, fine. Going to the Burrow, fine. Going to the Quidditch World Cup, awesome. But just like, we had like a whole weird chapter of good old Voldy up in Transylvania pretending to be vampires and such. Like, I don't even know what he's doing up there, wherever he is. Romania, right?
Albania.
One of the is.
There's a few of them.
Yeah. I mean, we had all these fine chapters, and okay, yeah, but like, I felt myself just immediately sinking into the story once they started getting into the Great Hall and sitting down and the Sorting Hat. Like, I was just like, yes, I'm back to where I'm happiest, and where I'm happiest is inside Hogwarts with the kids and the spirit of everything that's going on, and the ghosts and the professors, and like, this is the one night when everybody is probably in a good mood except for Snape. And it just feels good. It feels warm. It feels, it's a safety blanket, you know? Like, this is, like I said, the heart of the book, and just going back in there into this chapter, just, I felt good. I felt really good. So
I completely understand.
Yeah. What does Peeves do in the summertime when the kids and professors aren't there? Like, who does he torment?
The ghosts.
You think so?
Why not?
I don't know. I just feel like
They're
he
still
avoids
there.
them at all cost.
Or as we learn in this book, or in these chapters, who else is at the castle?
House elves.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we even find out later that Peeves was causing trouble in the kitchens.
That's true. But, I mean, what are the house elves doing during the summertime? Like, they don't have much to do when no one else is there.
Yeah, they're still cleaning.
I guess, but
it's a big castle.
I need a summertime at Hogwarts book written. Like,
I know.
I need this desperately. And all I was doing is just thinking about Peeves. Like, what does he do? Like, he was waiting for this night all summer. He's just like, finally people are back.
He's must be just planning these things. It's like, all right, when they walk through the door, got the water balloons, check. And it's kind of like they mentioned the Sorting Hat.
Right.
What does he do all year? Write a new song.
He has an entire year to come up with a new song.
Yep. Got nothing else to do.
You're a hat.
Unless Harry is fighting a basilisk.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just... I'm fascinated by the inner workings of this place. And just Peeves dumping water balloons on people just made me think of, like, what goes on when people aren't there? I need to know. Also, ghosts change clothes? I'm very confused by this, Matt. I need some clarification.
There's a lot of questions revolving around the ghosts.
Okay.
Like we've experienced some of them with like eating and being able to touch stuff and pick up stuff, or can they, or how does Professor Binns grade papers? I mean,
right.
Like it's kind of a gray area.
Yeah, it's kind of iridescent, see-through area.
Yeah.
They're just talking about nearly hairless Nick and putting on his finest attire, and I'm just thinking to myself, ghost clothes? Like, does he have like a ghost closet? Like,
yeah, the best I can figure is maybe he was wearing that when he died, and so then it turned to ghostly too, but he can take it off and he only wears it sometimes. I don't know.
Like The Sixth Sense.
Sure.
Have you ever seen that movie?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I feel confident in saying that I shouldn't have to. Well, can I spoil Sixth Sense on this show? Like, is that weird? Okay.
It sounds weird, but I mean, come on. What that was like mid-90s or something?
Right, Matt. But what are we doing here on this podcast? We're literally keeping me from being spoiled about things that happened over 15 years ago.
Okay. So, fine. Harry Potter is actually older than The Sixth Sense.
I'm just throwing that out there. We can't just assume. Okay. Sixth Sense is in the fact of the ghost in The Sixth Sense is wearing all of the clothes that person died in, but throughout the movie you see that ghost in different outfits, but it's just a different combination of the various articles of clothing that person was wearing on its death.
Yeah.
Was that not spoilery? That was okay, right?
Sure.
That's so weird to think about, like, not spoiling The Sixth Sense, Matt.
Yeah. That's where everybody is with you right now. It's weird.
How do you guys listen to me on a weekly basis? This is ridiculous. What are you doing? Absolutely ridiculous. Okay. So I'm not going to get any answers on ghosts, is what you're saying. Just... Has JK ever addressed the ghost, like,
it's
formally?
It's not, to be perfectly honest, it's not something that's ever really bothered me enough to look into.
Mm-hmm.
I have to imagine since I've been doing this show, I've found out that a lot more people have questions about this. So I have a feeling she probably has addressed it at some point.
Sure.
But right now I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough. They're kind of teasing the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher.
Yep.
By the lack of a new professor sitting at the table of professors. So instantly in my head, I'm thinking, this is Snape's time to shine, right? Like, if there's no new professors up there, we definitely have to have a professor for Defense Against the Dark Arts. Did Snape finally get handed the keys to the kingdom?
Yeah.
But then he was never described as being smiling or happy or anything like that. So it's like, no.
Do you but in all honesty, even if he got that job, do you really think he would smile?
Grinning from ear to ear, Matt.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen, like, the gif of the Grinch when he starts, like, smiling Like
Yes,
the old animated
yes.
cartoon, and it's that
Absolutely.
giant smile. That's Snape getting this job. That's 100% what Snape would be. That's the only thing that's going to make him happy in this world.
Okay.
He needs that in his life, Matt. He needs that credential. So that's kind of a swerve. I kind of fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. I appreciate what she was doing there, but I'm smarter than that. I should know better. But I was so wrapped up in the magic of Hogwarts, Matt.
Yeah.
Kind of got
I understand.
overtaken. Do hippogriffs taste like chicken?
I don't know. But I do appreciate the language she uses here.
Specifically, being hungry enough to eat a hippogriff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a spin on a phrase we use.
Yeah.
But it's her magical twist on it.
Right. I hope nobody eats hippogriffs.
Well, how many people do you know who eat horses?
Well, I mean, outside of this country, more than you'd probably
yeah, probably,
be okay
but
with. We're weird in the U.S., Matt. You know that.
Depends who you ask.
Okay, so I really like the Sorting Hat song.
Yes.
I really enjoyed it, and the whole time I was trying to remember if that was the song from the first book.
Well, she covers that for you.
Yeah, well, it didn't sound familiar. Like there was like bits and pieces. I'm like, but no, I could not convince myself that was the same song. And then immediately afterwards was the conversation about Sorting Hat has nothing to do for an entire year. So
like Harry was wondering the exact same thing. It's like, wait a minute, that my memory might not be that great from 3-4 years ago,
right?
But I don't think that was the same.
Sure, and not being a part of each ceremony the last few years, like he doesn't know like how often
exactly
it's a new one or not.
He hasn't gotten a yearly reminder of it.
Yeah. Speaking of Sorting Hat,
yes,
the Sorting Hat claims that it's never been wrong.
It's true.
Is this just its ego shining through, or does it just not realize that it's been wrong?
It 100% fully believes it has not been wrong.
I love the confidence. I like it. Yeah. Even though it clearly has been wrong.
I think you'd have a hard time proving that.
On at least 2 occasions.
I think you'd have a hard time proving that.
I feel like Wormtail is a pretty good example of how wrong things could get. Okay. Gryffindor, he is not, Matt.
Okay.
Houses.
Gryffindor. Yes.
Slytherin. Power-hungry
Yes.
Slytherin. As the song said. Very fitting, I must say. Hufflepuff. Represent. And Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We exist.
It's about time they added a 4th house to this place.
Huh.
Okay, here's my dilemma with Ravenclaw now.
Okay.
I'm borderline to the point of having to acknowledge its existence.
That's good.
Why, do you ask?
Why?
Because Harry is dangerously close to asking to be transferred over to there.
Just so he can spend more time with Cho?
He is falling head over heels for this girl, and look, I don't know anything about her. I know she's one heck of a Quidditch player. I can't say anything about her morals because as a Ravenclaw, I'm not sure what exactly those are. This is weird, Matt. I don't know. I don't know what to think of this. This is forcing my hand in ways I'm not comfortable with.
Sure.
Now, I appreciate the addition of more interesting characters to talk about. This Cho character, she seems quite lovely. And I don't know if I'm ready to accept our little Harry Potter growing up and, being interested in females at this point.
Sure.
Not ready, Matt.
Sooner or later.
I guess. Can't avoid it. Did you have anything from the Sorting Hat ceremony?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm wondering, did you catch Harry's question about sorting and families?
Oh, yeah. I think I've actually asked that, haven't I?
Exactly.
Okay.
And this is the example I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
When we were talking about it last time, but
sure.
I wanted to wait till we actually got to it.
Okay, fair enough.
So, like we kind of basically said, families do tend to go to the same house, but that's only because they kind of have the same background, they were raised the same way, they have the same morals and values and that type of thing.
Right.
So, like, that's why all the Weasleys ended up where they did, because they're just that similar.
Sure.
But at the same time, J.K. gives us the perfect example here in the Patil twins.
Right.
They are identical twins,
mm-hmm.
and they are in different houses.
Right. That's interesting.
Like, if anyone was going to be in the same house, it should be identical twins.
Sure.
So,
can you imagine Fred and George being split up?
Exactly.
Huh. Yeah, no, it's fascinating. Like, I'm glad like that was kind of addressed for sure.
Yeah.
Because, this whole time it kind of feels like siblings definitely fall into the same house, but then again, like the biggest case sample we have is the Weasleys, and
exactly
8,000 of them.
Every Weasley ever has been a Gryffindor, and it's just like, oh yes, if you're a Weasley, you're going to be a Gryffindor. Got it.
Sure.
And like even the Creevies, both of them ended up in Gryffindor.
Yeah.
But no, not always the case.
And that's kind of where like the gray area comes in with the other two houses. Like, okay, if you're in Slytherin, I feel like siblings of you are probably going to be in Slytherin as well, right?
It would probably make a lot of sense. I think the thing with Slytherin is that there are very strong traits
mm-hmm.
that make you a Slytherin,
right? Yes.
And so those traits are highly likely to run within the family.
Yeah, kind of like the dominant traits. Like even if you could like fit into other houses, like the dominant Slytherin trait of you is going to lend you into Slytherin. But when you start getting into like Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff now, like I feel like these two houses are just like not really Gryffindor, not really a Slytherin.
Yep.
You probably go into one of these two, and it's kind of a coin flip either way. Are you really smart, or are you a really hard worker? Like that's where it gets split into.
And that's kind of where, when we looked at the hat stalls a couple weeks back,
mm-hmm.
like it was often like between Gryffindor or one of those two houses.
Right.
It's like, okay, you're kind of in the middle. Like the only one that really seems odd was like Harry, where it was Gryffindor or Slytherin. Like those were kind of the two choices.
Right.
And that kind of seems odd because they almost feel like they should be polar opposites,
mm-hmm.
but they do have actually a little more commonalities than you might think.
Sure. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah. Could talk about houses for a long time. But.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. So, okay, going from there, Matt. Yep. So I'm already excited, right? We got like houses, we have the hat is back, like everything is flowing, like we've had ghosts, and this is all just really good chapter so far up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then JK drops 3 things in order.
Ooh.
That just, she was speaking to me personally, I feel like she was just like, you know what? In a few years, there's going to be this muggle that comes around. He's going to read this, and he's going to get to this point, and his heart is just going to explode. Like, it's going to be too much. But I'm going to drop it on him all at once and see if he can handle it, right?
Sure. I think I got at least 2 of them. I'm not
okay.
sure about 3.
This is in order, Matt.
Okay.
First of all, giant squid reference.
Yes.
Helpful as all get out. Who knew the giant squid was doing anything other than the lake, other than just being a giant squid?
And that he's not like an evil giant squid. I mean, I guess we've seen him like hit people like tickling his tentacles or whatever it was.
Waving
so
at him.
Like he doesn't seem like too bad of a thing. But on this like dark, stormy night, and someone falls in, like you start to think horror movie. You get grabbed by this giant squid and pulled under, and
no.
What does he do? Help you back onto the boat.
And it was the best thing ever.
Yeah,
it was the best thing ever. So, giant squid. It took 4 books, Matt, but we finally got to the point where the giant squid is acknowledged in a positive manner other than just being there.
Yep.
Give me more of that. Give me more of that, please. Now, if I know how these books are written, which I feel like I'm kind of catching on to, this will be our only giant squid reference of the entire book, so I'm going to soak it in as long as possible. But it was pretty nice. Going from there, we talked about a ghost council.
We did.
A gathering of ghosts to talk about the rules of being ghosts at Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I don't know how... There's a whole story with the ghosts that I'm fascinated by.
Oh yeah, it's almost like a whole nother world.
Yeah.
But it's running parallel to this one right now.
They're just kind of doing their own thing. Like,
yeah, I mean, they're running around the castle just as much as everybody else. But once again, we only get to see things from Harry's perspective.
Right.
So we get to see when he runs into the ghosts and when he has conversations with the ghosts, which majority of the time is nearly head Nick.
Right.
But yeah, that they're still there the entire time. It's not like, the toddler object permanence problem.
Sure.
It's like, can't see them. They're not there.
The Fat Friar was back. The Baron was brought up again. Baron being the only one to be able to handle Peeves, which I appreciate that somebody could manage him, because goodness, somebody needs to.
Hey, Lupin did a pretty good job too.
Well, yeah, but R.I.P. Lupin.
Hey, he's not dead.
He's dead to me, Matt.
Oh, sad day.
I just want it back. I miss him. So yeah, just the idea of a ghost council, just having their own set of rules and regulations and little ghost society within the walls is fascinating stuff. So first we had Giant Squid, then we had Ghost Council, and then third, like as if that wasn't enough for me to handle, Matt.
Yep.
House elves at Hogwarts.
That they are.
Who knew?
I did.
Well, you
and probably everybody listening, but hey, now you know too.
What a glorious thing. And you know what? It makes sense. Who else is keeping... Filch isn't doing all that by himself.
Exactly. The more you think about it, the more it makes sense.
Who's lighting all the torches? Who's making all the beds? Who's laying out all the clothes? Who's
making all the food?
Making the food. Who's cleaning up the classrooms? Who's doing everything? Mm-hmm. House elves are doing everything.
Yeah, like the more like you kept asking about this food, and I'm like, you're asking like, is it just magic food? Did it, like make itself? I'm like, oh, no, but I can't ruin that surprise for you too.
Oh,
like
I'm so glad
that was
you didn't.
Kind of a big reveal.
Oh, I'm so glad you didn't, Matt.
Yeah.
Now, I'm happy to see house elves at Hogwarts. Hermione is not.
Not so much.
Hermione has an issue with this. I love her passion.
Yeah.
For things like this. Because she digs in her heels and she's going to do everything that she can to make a wrong a right. I mean, she pretty much studied and took the bar exam to be a lawyer to defend Buckbeak in his trial. And I'm just seeing that, and she didn't want to see Buckbeak executed, but I don't think the raw passion was there the way it is here this year with the house elves.
Yeah, like with Buckbeak, I don't even know that it was so much she felt bad for Buckbeak. She wanted to help Hagrid.
Yeah, that's true.
Like she saw how much Hagrid loved Buckbeak
Right.
and wanted to help Hagrid.
Hmm.
Like that I think that's what she was in it for. And the fact that like the whole Ron and Harry were not necessarily treating her that well in that book. Like it was her thing. It's what she focused on, what kept her mind off everything else going on.
Right, right. So I don't know how far this is going to go, but I also kind of feel like we now know Hermione's storyline in this book.
Hermione found her thing for this book.
This is Hermione's thing.
Yes.
It kind of started with Winky, you know.
Yeah. Made a pretty big deal about it, and now that it's kind of brought up again, it's like, okay.
Right. Like she was ready to just forget all about Winky and just move on, right? And then
it's like, wait, there's more.
Not just more, but there's an entire castle full of house elves that she's never seen.
The largest number in any dwelling in Britain, and she's never seen one.
Yeah, which, as nearly Headless Nick pointed out, like that's kind of the point of house elves.
Yeah, it's a mark of a good house elf. Right. You don't know it's there.
Which means Hogwarts has tons of really good house elves.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to meet him, Matt. I want to meet him. I need like house elf, like there has to be some sort of meeting of the house elves.
We'll find out.
Goodness
maybe.
Gracious. Maybe. Hopefully.
Yeah. But I've always loved that description. It's like the mark of a good house elf is you don't know it's there.
Right.
That's the analogy. Like I've done some low level like soundboard work for concerts and such. And that's I think I'm one of the first people who started teaching me about the soundboards. Like I think that's how they explained it to me. Like the mark of a good sound guy is you don't know that there is a sound guy.
Right.
Like when there is no problem with the mics, when there is no feedback in the system, like the show goes off flawlessly. You don't even notice there's a sound guy there because there were no problems.
Exactly.
It's only when there's a problem, everybody looks back and it's like, oh, and we're taking care of it. Just a minute. Yeah. Like, you don't want that to happen.
Like a referee in NFL.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, oh, and we're almost at halftime, and that's the first flag of the game. Okay.
You forget they're there, and it's amazing how nice the game is.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm fascinated now about Hogwarts behind the scenes and all the house elves and their names and like who do they actually belong to? Are they Dumbledores? Do they owned by the school itself? Like, is there one person that they would report to? Like, who would they say their master is?
Sure. I mean, yeah, you kind of get the idea that someone has to own them because they need to take orders from somebody.
Yeah, they don't do well by themselves.
House elf thing. Yeah,
Dobby has proven that they don't do well by themselves, or they do really well, depending on how you look at it.
Exactly. You're still at your 50-50. You still have only met two.
Right.
You know there are more, but it's all you know for now.
Now I know there's a lot more. It's fascinating stuff. I can't wait. Now, I'm all for Team Hermione here and what she's trying to bring to the table. Like she doesn't want to eliminate the house elves. She just wants them, to be treated fairly and equally and respected. As helpers, not as slaves, and I appreciate that. So, Giant Squid, Ghost Council, House Elves, Matt. Like I'm just bursting at the seams with just
great chapter,
this.
right?
Yeah. I was just like, what else do I need at this point? Like this is my favorite book ever.
That's the best part. Is that's not even the point of the chapter.
No, not at all.
At all.
That's just all thrown in there. That's just setting up the big reveal of the new professor, and here I am just still thinking about Giant Squid helping kids and doing awesome things. We have a new teacher.
We do.
What an entrance.
Yep. He knows how to make an entrance, that's for sure.
Now, the whole time this is happening, I'm thinking to myself, what an arrogant, cocky, full of himself professor to just walk in, interrupt Dumbledore, who's making like the biggest announcement of Hogwarts in years, not even care, right? Doesn't even care. He's not like, oh, my bad. Excuse me. Do your thing. I'll be there in a second. Like, he's just like, nope. I'm going right to the table. I'm going to make sure everybody sees me. I'm going to walk as slow as I possibly can. It's going to be dramatic. Nobody's going to be talking. Everybody's going to be watching. It's going to be awesome. Like, all eyes were on him. And part of me is like, he really enjoyed that. And then the other part of me is, he couldn't care less about anything.
Yep.
And I kind of like both of those aspects to him.
You wonder if he has a little goblin blood in him.
Yeah.
just don't care.
Just no awareness to his surroundings. Just this is me. This is what I'm doing. People don't like it. People whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't even care who I'm affecting right now. Because I need to get to my table and I need to start eating. Because I'm late.
Yep.
Mad Eye Moody, everybody. What a character.
He is indeed.
We don't know much about him at this point, but I mean, just based on his entrance, you know you're going to be in for a ride this year.
And kind of his reputation.
His appearance,
Yeah.
Wow. So much to unpack there with just like the description of what he looks like. JK went tough on him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she dug deep for some of these descriptions. And, I mean, it does not sound pleasing to the eye at all.
No, I mean, very, I guess I think of it as, like, war-torn.
Mm-hmm.
He's been through some battles.
He's seen some things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the eye is like probably the least rough description of him. Like, talking about like the scars all over his face and like his face barely looked like a face and it looked like he was carved out of wood. And
yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Just like, so he had one wooden leg, right? Or two? I was having a hard time following. One. Okay.
Yeah, he has a wooden leg with a clawed foot on the bottom.
Right. Okay. His clothes definitely didn't sound like they were in the best condition. Just nothing about him like was aesthetically pleasing at all.
Yeah, and like when you think about it, it's almost like Lupin last year.
Right.
Very kind of shabbily dressed.
Mm-hmm.
But you get a very different vibe from him.
Yeah, with the description of Lupin, it made you feel kind of sorry for him right off the bat.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Feel for him, bond with him a little bit. Because you're just like, wow, this poor guy needs this job really bad. And then Moody comes strutting in, and it's just like, wow, this guy is just over the top, just ugly. Like, I don't want to use that word, but that's pretty much the only word that JK didn't use to describe him. In doing so, basically was just describing how ugly he is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, he's not a pretty man.
No, it's not a pretty sight. But
no.
that, I mean, because of that, because of his appearance combined, I guess, with his confidence, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Like, just the way he carries himself into the room. Like, people kind of fear him or respect him almost.
There's no feeling sorry for him. There's look at that poor guy. It's, oh man, what has he done in his life? And
I think part of it is, for a lot of the students, Lupin would have been rather an unknown.
Yeah.
But the fact, I mean, Mad Eye Moody,
mm-hmm.
people know him by name.
Yeah.
Like I think it was Ron that mentions Mad Eye first, or no. Oh, Harry mentioned it because Mr. Weasley had mentioned it.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, because
so
all he had was the Moody name.
Yeah.
Professor Moody, and he was like, Mad Eye? And Ron's like, maybe, I don't know, I'm eating, leave me alone.
and I mean, so when you get a name like that, it's just kind of like, you start having questions, and it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You want to know more about this guy.
Right.
And then if you know anything about his past, which it sounds like some people did, the fact that he was an ex-Auror and, ex-Dark Wizard catcher,
right?
Like, he has some stories.
Yeah.
He has stories.
Yeah. We'll talk a lot about Mad Eye in the next chapter, but just like this introduction to him was, as you pointed out, just such a stark difference between being introduced to Lupin and being introduced to Moody.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see where this goes. And, I'm already sad about his departure from Hogwarts, but I have an entire book to enjoy his stay here. And that's that.
Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if I'd even compare him to Lupin. If you want polar opposite, compare him to Lockhart.
Oh, God.
Like, pretty boy who really doesn't know what he's doing.
Right, who nobody takes seriously.
Super, I mean, like you said, ugly, just opposite, and really knows, at least seems like he knows.
Like, he owned that room.
Yeah, we don't know right now what he actually knows.
No,
we're assuming from all the descriptions.
Yeah,
that he knows his stuff. He knows what he's been through a lot, and
I mean, even the other professors were shocked and kind of in awe that he was coming down to sit down next to him.
Yeah,
like it didn't even seem like they were fully on board with this.
Yeah, they were expecting that chair to stay empty.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting year for sure.
So okay, did you catch the one other description of Moody that you basically called last week?
I say a lot of crazy things, Matt. You're gonna have to.
I know. So last week we got a note that Moody was a kind of paranoid.
Okay.
And you made the comment that he's probably that kind of guy who, you offer him a glass of water and he won't accept it because he's too paranoid. He probably carries a flask.
Right. Yes.
And I just stopped myself there. I'm like, that is like one of his defining traits. Like this flask that he carries with him. I'm like, seriously, how on earth did you...
He just felt like that kind of guy, Matt.
That was another one of those moments for our listeners that write in a lot, and the people in the room requirement, like, they just can't believe that. I mean, some of them are just little details like this, but seriously, Josh.
I don't even remember. I mean, I remember saying it now, but no, I mean, reading it, that didn't even.
Yeah. You called another one.
He's that kind of guy, Matt.
Yep. Yeah. He is.
Yeah. He's probably going to drink himself to death or something by the end of this book, but Mad Eye Moody, everybody.
He's here.
The new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. Lighten the mood a little bit here, Matt.
Yep.
I need to know the punchline to this joke. A troll and a hag and a leprechaun go into a bar.
Yeah.
I need the punchline to that joke, Matt.
Well, if I know the Harry Potter community at all, I'm sure there are many, many multiple endings to that joke by now.
I want to hear some. I whether it's you or whether it's listeners that look into this and see if there's actually a punchline to this, I want to know how bad of a dad joke Dumbledore was about to make. Because it was way off color if McGonagall had to stop him.
Sure.
He was going all in on the joke, right? And she's like,
Yeah.
"Don't do it. Please don't do this." I just want to know where he is going with that. That's what I need to know. Okay. Triwizard tournament.
Yes.
This is the big reveal.
Yes. And right before he announces officially that they're having the Triwizard tournament, he makes the announcement that there's going to be no Quidditch.
Right.
Which kind of gets glossed over. Like, people kind of get upset, but then they get distracted by the tournament. So, like, it kind of comes and goes really quickly. But I just like to point that out because one of your main theories that you came up with in the past few weeks was that this might have something to do with Quidditch.
Right.
Because we had the World Cup, and then you thought maybe there's a similar event at Hogwarts that could have something to do with Quidditch.
This book was going to be all about Quidditch.
Yep. I think we ruled that out.
Dumbledore shot that down with the quickness, didn't he?
Yeah.
Wow. How do you let me just say things like that, Matt? We're giving prizes away to...
when you... I have to let you say things like that to counter,
I guess.
the hip flask.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah.
Well, there's still time. But if not, we got our Quidditch chapter, the annual Quidditch chapter. So
she got it out of the way early.
Yep. Get that. So, Triwizard tournament. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
2 other schools are going to participate in this thing.
Yep.
Kind of sounds like a wizard version of Hunger Games.
I guess it's kind of a much smaller scale, I think. But yeah.
I mean, when they started talking about the death toll getting too high at certain times, I'm just thinking this is going to be really bad for some people.
It's very dangerous. Yeah.
Now I pointed out something in my notes right off the bat that I thought I was just picking up on something interesting that I was going to kind of just put a pin in and see where it went to, but then they actually elaborated on it much more after the fact, which I was super surprised with. But I wondered to myself, like, who the impartial judge is going to be, right?
Yeah.
Because it was just this really quick statement about there being an impartial judge to make the decisions and blah, blah, blah. And I was trying to think, we don't know many impartial people.
Yeah, because basically everybody up to this point that we've met has some affiliation with Hogwarts.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to be impartial there.
Yeah.
And like anyone you'd be introduced to feels like they'd be from one of the other 2 schools.
Right.
But yeah.
Here's my theory.
Yeah.
I thought about this.
Okay.
There's one character I could think of who I feel like could be impartial. And
that would be?
Feel like... Okay, there's 2 I could think of off the top of my head that could be super impartial.
By the end of the night, we'll have 10.
2 that could be impartial from the Ministry. Sure, they may have some affiliation with Hogwarts, but this is kind of being ran by the Ministry.
Yep. They mentioned that like their Department of International Magical Games and Sports or whatever that department is.
It was a title too long for a business card.
Yeah.
It just so happens to be held at Hogwarts, but it's being ran by the Ministry. So I'm thinking, okay, what Ministry people do we know that doesn't really have an affiliation with Hogwarts? Like, you could count out Malfoy and Weasley and whatnot. So I'm thinking Cornelius Fudge. I mean, he's the top dog, right? That would make sense. But you would think that he wouldn't want to muddle too much in that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and at the same time, like I've mentioned, I think in the last book that, or no, was that the? It must have been last book. That he seems to be like Harry Potter's #1 fan.
Right.
At times, like when left alone with Harry, like he just goes gaga over Harry.
Sure. Now, would that translate into, favoritism towards Hogwarts? I don't know. But again, like, I don't feel like he would want to put his name into that.
Sure.
But there is one guy who I could definitely see wanting to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Crouch. Couch? Crouch.
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 I was kind of wondering if you were going to lean towards Bagman or Crouch.
Yeah. Not Bagman. He's too.
But yeah,
all
Crouch,
over the place.
Yeah, definitely more serious of the bunch.
Yeah. Oh, here's my theory. Okay?
Okay.
I don't have it totally fleshed out yet. But it's been a while since I dropped one of these theories on you, Matt.
It's true.
I don't feel like Crouch is up to any good, right? I think he has some bad intentions. I think...
yeah, we last saw him with Winky.
Right, and the whole...
kind of questionable actions.
Yeah, and, and I'm having this gut feeling that he has some sort of affiliation with Voldy. And I he's been talking about wanting to... something is going to happen with Voldemort. You don't start off the entire book with an entire chapter about what he's up to if he's not planning on coming back in some way, shape, or form. And this feels like this might be an opportune time to wreak some havoc, if you will. And I just feel like Crouch... I don't trust him. Now, there's still the offbeat chance that it was a red herring, and I'm not supposed to trust him, which means he's totally trustworthy, and everything's going to be on the up and up. But in my heart of hearts, Matt, I'm not feeling good about him, and I feel like he would be one to step up to be this impartial judge, because I don't know if he has affiliation specifically to Hogwarts or the other schools. I don't know his background. I don't know where he's from or anything like that.
Sure.
But he doesn't have a kid at Hogwarts that we know of. Like Weasley and Malfoy, of course. So I can see him stepping up and being this impartial judge. And I don't know. Like, bad things are going to happen. This is... the writing is on... Like, this is this big thing that everybody's excited for, which means it's going to be bad. I think I said that last week when they started talking about this big thing happening.
Yeah.
It's not good. It seems good, but it's not good. The promise of 1,000 galleons and fame and fortune and all this stuff, like, it sounds great, but this just sounds like one giant trap,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like in like small towns when like the sheriff's department has like a giveaway for a new truck and sends out invitations to quote unquote winners that just all happen to have like outstanding warrants for their arrest, and they show up to claim their new truck and then get arrested on site.
Sure.
That's what this feels like. It's just one
Okay.
giant trap.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Now it's kind of sad because Dumbledore's a part of this, but
Yes.
I don't know how much he knows or doesn't know. But it's coming from the Ministry. There's some shady things happening in the Ministry. Rita Skeeter is all over this. It just doesn't feel right, Matt.
But it's a most excellent way of establishing ties between young witches and wizards.
Sure, yeah, I believe that. It's also a way to rack up a death toll.
It's true.
Even
lifelong friends, and they're dead.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, no matter how safe Dumbledore claims this is going to be, it's asking for trouble.
See, I don't think he ever claims that it's going to be safe, though.
No,
That,
he said that they're making all the precautions to make it as safe as possible for everybody.
Yes, and a big part of that is ensuring that people have enough knowledge going into it.
Sure.
That's why they bumped up the age limit.
Which I was kind of surprised by the 17.
Yeah.
Like, that caught me off guard.
Yeah.
I thought, for one, I didn't think there'd be an age limit, or at least like 4th year and up or something like that, because Ron and Harry need to get on this, obviously. Like, this is...
Exactly. We're
going to have a whole book of them watching from the sidelines?
Yeah.
No. Get out of here.
Wait, they're gonna find a way around it?
Matt, come on now. I'm not that dumb. They're going to be a part of this. They're not just going to watch this thing unfold.
How do you know? You don't even know what this thing really is.
You're right, I don't. But Harry and Ron are not the kind of kids to just sit around and watch things happen. Things happen because of them. Not just to entertain them.
Yeah.
I mean, the twins are definitely going to try to get into this. They're dying.
Yeah.
They just want the money. That's all they want.
It's true.
They just need money to fund their business and move about their lives. Yeah, I don't know how they're going to get in or what I don't know. I don't know. I don't see Ron and Harry, specifically Harry, just sitting back and just being a viewer of this.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense.
The book's not called Harry Potter and the Triwizard Tournament.
What if this Goblet of Fire aged you in some way? I don't know what the Goblet of Fire is, Matt. Can we just talk about what the Goblet of Fire is real quick?
You can talk about it all you want.
I don't know. That's the problem. You're right. It's not called Harry Potter and the Triwizard Tournament. I get that. It's too big for it not to involve them in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from, but yeah, okay. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
The only one that's rational in this entire scenario, the only one who's actually thinking with his head, Neville Longbottom.
Yeah?
He's just like, no way. I am not old enough for that. My grandma would probably want me to, but nope.
I can't handle it. Nope.
I am not prepared for this. Thank you, Neville. Thank you for accepting that. You just saved a lot of lives.
He knows where he stands.
Yeah, his incompetence knows no bounds until now. He's you know what? I don't want to hurt anybody or get myself hurt. I appreciate that. I appreciate his stand-up honesty, you know? So, Triwizard Tournament. I don't know where this is going, Matt. It just doesn't feel good at all. It's a giant trap. The other two schools coming to Hogwarts, though, that's intriguing.
Yeah.
That's very intriguing.
It should be. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, like, it would be more intriguing, I think, if they, like, brought their whole school. That would be fun.
Right.
But we're just going to get their short list of candidates.
So what
which
were the
makes
two
more
schools?
sense. Durmstrang and Beauxbatons.
Okay, Durmstrang. Haven't I said that school's going to be important for some reason?
You've mentioned it before, yeah?
Okay. I feel like I'm justified now.
Yeah, we've gotten brief mentions of both of these schools. I think Durmstrang has maybe been mentioned a little bit more. For some reason, you picked up on it.
Yeah. Do I know anything about it yet?
Not really. They were just kind of discussing like where they are, and that's how they got into the discussion of, well, they're hidden.
Right.
In particular, like they knew there were other schools out there, but in particular, Durmstrang and Beauxbatons like to keep their locations secret.
Sure.
They could kind of guess where they were. I mean, from how they talked and how they dressed and that sort of thing.
Right.
But for the most part, yeah, they just don't know too much.
Yeah.
But that got them into the discussion about how schools are hidden and how Hogwarts looks like a pile of ruins.
Sure. So did they say what wizards at Durmstrang wore?
I believe Durmstrang was the one that they said have like furs, capes, right? Or something as part of their uniform.
Because they were suspecting that they were Northern European.
Yep. Somewhere up north.
Was that also the school that tended to favor the dark arts a little bit more?
Yeah. That was, I believe Malfoy was mentioning that they actually teach the dark arts.
Right. Instead of just defense against it.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Weird question.
I love weird questions.
Now, I don't know. Okay, I'm not quite sure the thought pattern here, but the Quidditch World Cup that just took place, right?
Yes.
Do you have to be an adult to be on the Quidditch World Cup team? Like, do you have to be like graduated from school to be on the Quidditch World Cup national team?
I don't think there's necessarily any limitations. I think it would just be hard for anyone of that age to actually be able to make a national team like that.
Sure.
But I think it's kind of like I would almost compare it to something like soccer or European football, where they have many different levels of it. You know, kids kind of train in it their whole lives up to the pros, and occasionally you will get that one phenom, 18-year-old kid who can make a pro team.
Sure, who might still be at theoretically at school.
Yeah, in theory. Like I don't even know what age the kids are nowadays, if they have anything like 16, 18 or anything like that.
Sure.
But well, like that in soccer, something that's more liable to happen than like the NFL, where that cannot happen.
Right.
Like you have to be through what 2 or 3 years of college now before
3 years
go
removed from high school.
Yeah, before you're even eligible for the NFL.
Yeah.
So like that just can't happen. But in other sports like soccer, that's why I use that as an example. That like as far as I know, that limitation is not in place.
Sure.
And I believe the same could be said for Quidditch as well. Then.
Okay. Ireland played who? Bulgaria?
Ireland played Bulgaria.
Do we have a location in Bulgaria? I forgot. Was that a Northern European?
I don't think you actually asked about it.
I definitely remember being bad at geography.
Okay, well,
especially with European territories.
Yes, Bulgaria is actually. Wait a minute. Well, okay, like I know where it is. I just want to check how close it is to something else that we may have talked about. So Bulgaria is actually kind of southeastern Europe.
Oh.
It's shoot. I mean, if you're not familiar with geography, it's going to be kind of hard.
Nah, that's fine.
But yeah, like a couple countries east of Italy.
Okay.
Like the heel of the boot of Italy.
Sure.
Down south there.
Probably not where Durmstrang is what you're saying.
I
mean, based
honestly,
on our assumption that it's a Northern European school.
Yeah, like I wouldn't call that northern.
Okay.
I don't know what the climate of Bulgaria necessarily is, but there we go. That's what I was looking for. It is actually quite close to Albania.
Interesting. Huh. That's fascinating, Matt.
So like there's Italy, you cross the Adriatic Sea, you're in Albania, then you got Macedonia and Bulgaria.
Okay. What about this third school? Do we know anything about that?
I don't know how much we technically know. We'll be learning very shortly, so I don't feel bad telling you. And you could probably piece together things from what we do know.
Okay.
Like, we heard those folks speaking in French.
Yes.
That one line that Val had some trouble with.
Yep.
Sure. So there's a good chance, especially when you learn that the lady that they were talking about in French is from Beauxbatons.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it seems likely.
Where I'm going with all of this, Matt,
Yeah.
is I don't feel... Okay, if Quidditch is not happening in the rest of this book,
Okay.
I'm okay with that. However, it just feels like there was an exorbitant amount of time spent talking about our good friend Victor Crumb. And I'm not satisfied that we have seen the last of him. Now, that's why I was asking if somebody on a World Cup team could also theoretically be at a wizarding school.
Okay.
Would that mean that he could possibly be at one of these two schools who would be coming to Hogwarts, so we could be brought his character again? Because if it's nothing to do with Quidditch, again, I don't know. Like, he was a Quidditch master, right? But I just...
Yeah, I mean, he was talked about a lot because he was the Seeker.
Yeah.
I mean, we mentioned Aiden Lynch as well a lot too. It's just he lost. He crashed into the ground one too many times. And
but
like,
there's something special about Crumb.
Like you kind of said, like he was like the LeBron or the Tom Brady or whatever that just everybody knew. Everybody wanted to see him play.
Sure. I just don't think we're done with him in this book. I really don't. And I don't know why that is, but there was so much focus on him. It would just be weird for him to disappear and not be part of the story going forward, you know? Like all the other players that were mentioned or whatever, fine. But nobody was quite talked about like Crumb was. So I'm trying to figure out in my head how he comes back to the story. So that's where I'm at.
All right.
So just throwing that out there.
Would be an interesting theory.
It's a stretch, Matt. There's definitely some holes in it, but you know I could fill those out eventually.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah. Let's move on to chapter 13.
All right, chapter 13. Mad Eye Moody. As if we haven't talked about him enough already.
Here we go.
One new character got a brief mention of Eloise Midgen, who I don't know if you'll be talking about stuff surrounding her at least. I don't know how much you'll talk about her, but that is our only new character for this chapter.
That's okay. You know, this was day one, back to Hogwarts.
Yes.
I didn't need new people. I needed familiarity here.
Sure.
I needed the kids to go to class. I needed schedules. I needed day-to-day Hogwarts at its finest. That's what I live and breathe for. We didn't go to Snape's class. Kind of happy about that. That didn't drag the chapter down at all. So,
sure,
it's always a buzzkill every time they go back there. Potions class.
Yeah, they'll have to go back at some point.
Yeah. Okay, Hermione. She's what, 14 now?
Yes.
Right.
I may have mentioned this to you before, but easiest way to remember: book 1, they were 11.
Sure.
Book 2, 12. So the second digit is always the book we're on.
I guess I just don't know her birthday.
Well, okay, fair enough, I guess. Yeah, they could have their birthday during the year.
Sure. Theoretically, okay. 14.
I would just assume that.
Sure.
I would just kind of assume they're all the same age at the same time. They all have summer birthdays. There you go.
Okay. Super passionate about this whole elf rights thing.
Yeah.
But she's still a 14-year-old girl, and she's just like, you know what? There are better ways to fight this, and a hunger strike is not one of them.
Yes. She realizes she needs to eat.
Yeah.
Like that.
The way she goes with school, like that girl needs as much calorie intake as possible.
Yeah.
She's always moving. So yeah, that I appreciate that she was able to come to that realization, that like she could she could start to change things or try to change things in a smarter way than just refusing to eat. Because they're still going to be making food, whether she's eating it or not.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, like her not eating is not going to cause them to stop working.
Right. Okay. Remember the last chapter, how I had like this insane high of talking about my favorite things ever, right?
Yep.
Just right off the bat in this chapter, Matt, JK just slaps me across the face. She was like, you know what? All that goodwill I built up last chapter, this was just to break you down in this chapter.
Yep.
Plants that look like slugs.
Once again, this is not something I ever would have paid attention to in any other time through this book. But as soon as I got to the word slug, I'm like, that is too good. That is too good. Like, it's not even a slug, but it's another slug reference, and it's just, it's going to drive him insane.
It's so unnecessary. These plants don't need to exist in this world. What is she doing?
Oh, I love it.
Oh.
She's curing acne. That's what she's doing.
Oh, God. Boober tuber pus? Like,
yep.
Squeezing out the pus? Oh, man.
Yeah, that's the worst part. I mean, it kind of goes back to, though, at the World Cup, when we had little boy Kevin playing with the wand.
Yeah.
And making the slug bigger and bigger, and his mom steps on it, and it's all gooey.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of wonder if that was kind of like a reference to these already.
JK just has this fascination with just gooey, gross stuff. Like, I don't know what it is, but she loves it.
Maybe she kept slugs as pets growing up. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? But I was just like, oh, come on. Really? Like, don't bring me down so quickly. Let me ride out this high that I have for the rest of this week at least.
It's okay. Hagrid to the rescue.
Hagrid to the rescue indeed. What's Hagrid going to be teaching about this year? One could only wonder. You don't have to wonder too long.
Nope.
Blast into Scroots.
Hey, what do you know?
We just talked about those last week.
You've seen them before.
Yeah, I've seen very crude drawings of them, yes, but
yep.
What I had in my head, Matt, was something similar to like a scorpion.
I can see that, yeah.
Right. The description here of these things, far from that.
A little bit different, yeah.
Lobster without shells, legs coming out from every which direction.
Yeah.
What in the world is Hagrid doing here?
It's a very good question.
It's a really good question because apparently he's never even had these before. He has no idea what he's doing.
Exactly. Like that's what gets me the most. It's like he doesn't even try to hide the fact that he doesn't know anything about them. It's like, I don't know, we'll have to try it out and see what happens. Like, I'm all for experimentation. But generally speaking, the teacher should have some knowledge, even the slightest knowledge of how to care for them or what they can do, or he's just like, oh, a creature I haven't seen before. Let's give it to the kids. What?
I have these boxes full of these little baby creatures. Let's take care of them together.
Don't know what they'll do. Don't know how big they'll get. Don't know what they eat. Don't know how they can hurt you. It's like, oh yeah, I think some of them can sting, but
they sting, they burn, they explode, they bite. Like,
yeah,
I can't help but love him because he's so lovable, but he's just kind of dumb sometimes too. He tries so hard, but he just doesn't think everything through all the way, I think. And,
exactly. And a lot of times, unfortunately, that gets him in trouble. But
especially after last year. Like, you would think he would be a little bit more prepared going into this year. And it's just he's even more reckless.
Hey, he finally got off flobberworms. We're back on track here. Hagrid bringing interesting creatures.
He just doesn't even know what they eat, though.
He knows nothing about.
No.
Like, yeah.
Here's a whole bunch of food. Let's just feed him and see what happens.
Oh, Hagrid.
Also, like, okay, I hate Malfoy, right?
Yes.
At the same time, I was kind of shaking my head like, I kind of agree with this dude. Like, please, Hagrid, tell us why these are redeemable creatures and why we need to keep them and feed them and raise them. And he's like, that's the next lesson. You'll find out later. As in, I don't know, but I'll get back to you on that one.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying they should stomp them out and kill them all like Malfoy is suggesting, because, that's not right. I'm not down for that. However, I need a little something here. There has to be some give and take here, Hagrid. If you're going to ask us to care for these and raise them like our own children, you need to at least tell us what good they're going to be.
Yep.
So,
give us some assurance that they're not going to kill us.
Yeah, like when they grow up, they are great house pets, or they will tend to your garden, or they are wonderful at catching flobberworms for
I was gonna say, yeah,
fishing.
They denome the garden for you.
Something like what is their use? What is their reason for being considered pets? If you can't give us that, Hagrid, maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
Although, I mean, I wouldn't even go just why should they be considered pets, because Hagrid thinks dragons should be pets.
That's true.
So,
we'll see. I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, Hagrid. I'm all in, but I'm going in blindly here. Don't disappoint me, big guy. Ron being surprised by Hermione. 4 books in, I feel like there is no reason in the world Ron should ever be surprised when Hermione says that she's going to the library.
I mean, I think he's gotten used to it, but he thought for sure he had it figured out, and this was the first day, and there's no way she would have a reason to. Like, she could take this one day before school gets started to spend outside the library.
Again, this is Hermione we're talking about.
Yeah, but
no buts.
I guess maybe it's Ron with some wishful thinking.
I guess so. I appreciate it.
It's like, you have to start this up already, Hermione. Come on. One day.
Ron, just accept it for what it is, Ron. Professor Trelawney.
Yes. She's still here.
She is wackier than ever, isn't she?
Yeah, pretty much.
She is incredible. This weekend, Matt, we went to this restaurant. It's called Beijing Hot Pot, and it's I would seriously doubt you have them up in Wisconsin.
I can't say I've heard of that one in particular.
Sure.
But...
So it's this copper pot that sits in the middle of your table, and there is a burner underneath the table that they turn on.
Okay.
And they fill up this pot with broth, either regular flavored, normal flavored, or incredibly spicy flavored, whatever you choose. And so they pour in this broth. The heater underneath the flame is heating up the copper. The broth starts boiling, and then they bring to your table this entire selection of veggies and meats and whatever else you may order, noodles and such. And it's all raw and uncooked, and you take it from there and you put it into the broth and you cook it right there at your table.
Okay.
So you cook as you want to eat, and you scoop it out, you put it in your bowl, you ladle in some broth, and you have little individual bowls of your ramen that you're cooking essentially right in front of yourself.
Sure.
Where I'm going with all of this is we also had some hot tea at the table, because you got to enjoy some hot tea when you have the opportunity to. And we're pouring it out, and all of a sudden I go to take a drink, and at the bottom of my little cup of tea, there's tea leaves. And immediately I thought of Professor Trelawney. And this is before we even read the chapters, Matt.
Yeah.
That woman is in my head more than I would care to ever acknowledge. I cannot look at tea leaves without thinking of Trelawney. I can't see incense. I can't see candles and beanbag chairs and all of this crystal balls. Everywhere I look, Professor Trelawney has completely infected my mind.
Well, there you go. That's how she knows things.
She is something else.
She's connected.
I appreciate that Hermione is still anti-Trelawney.
Yeah.
Through and through. Harry and Ron, they could care less about the class. They're just there because it's easy.
Yep.
Usually.
Yeah, they're just there for each other at this point.
Yeah. But I'm just... She's something else. She is something else, Matt. And I don't know how important she's going to be to the story this year. I would prefer to learn about some other teachers. Like, could we get some Flitwick, maybe? But she's something special. She's man, Professor Trelawney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, like, other predictions we've had from her have usually been able to come true.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But it struck me as odd that she just totally missed on this one. Like, it was just a little thing, but she was way, like, 6 months off here.
About Harry's birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And born in midwinter? I'm like, nope. I'm born in July. Like, yeah, just a little thing, but it kind of makes you wonder. Like, she's been, we've always kind of said she's been just generic enough that people could twist it around and make it seem, oh yeah, that's true.
Sure.
I mean, with the exception of the big, like Harry mentioned, the big trance one she went into, and
right.
We kind of saw that come true.
Yeah.
But
and then here she predicted that what Harry fears the most will come true or will happen.
Yeah, that hasn't come true yet, but...
Oh, right. Yeah, that was the same thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question.
Yeah?
It's going to sound as wacky as Trelawney is. However, there's two reasons that birthday thing was brought up.
Okay.
One, to kind of advance the thinking that Trelawney is a whack job and only gets like one prediction like a century right. Like, even Dumbledore is just like...
How old do you think Trelawney is?
I don't know. I don't know how long wizards last, Matt.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe she has the Philosopher's Stone.
Well, I was going to say, we know... No, well, that's been destroyed. But Nicholas Flamel was, what, 650 or something?
Sure, yeah.
Or 560 or something like that. Yeah.
And I don't know what Trelawney's dabbling in. You know, what kind of, crazy dark arts she's actually involved with. Nobody pays any attention to her up in her little special space up there. Like, she could be getting away with so much if she really wanted to, you know? And that's scary in its own right. There are no checks and balances when it comes to Trelawney. Because nobody wants to even deal with her. Okay. So, the birthday thing was either one, written in there to kind of prove that she is just wacky, and most of what she says is completely wrong, and she tosses out things in hopes of getting them right. Or, what if Harry really doesn't know his birthday? Is there a chance he was born in the winter? And she would know that? And somehow things got mixed up and he was told something differently or something?
Well, wouldn't that be a twist?
It would be. And it would be so inconspicuous, because why would that even be written into the book, right? Like, I don't know the reasoning of why Harry would be lied to about his birthday or when he was born. I don't know the reason to that.
The bigger question is, who told him when his birthday was? It wasn't his parents.
No.
Who did he grow up with?
The Dursleys. Why would they lie?
Because they hate Harry?
That's true. That's true. So maybe they told him his birthday incorrectly the whole time? That'd be really weird. But in the in the sense of what's going on here, maybe Trelawney does know that he was born in the middle of the winter. He's just like, no, you crazy lady, I was born in July. Maybe not, Harry. Maybe Trelawney knows a little bit more than we're giving her credit for. Not scary. I don't want to give her credit. But then again, she's still a professor at the school, and that alone gives her a little bit of credibility. Right? Dumbledore has to see something in her to keep her around and teaching this class.
We saw last time he wants to give her a raise.
So I don't... And she has some sort of special connection with Harry. This is clear. Like...
Why would she have a connection with Harry?
I don't know. But, like, she wanted to talk...
Or, like, why do you think she has a connection with Harry?
Because, like, all the other students, like, she just has her... Like, even the students that are, like, hardcore into what she's teaching, like, she's, like, appreciative of them, but she doesn't seem to be favoring them in any way, shape, or form, or really acknowledging them in any special way. But she always seems to go out of her way to talk to Harry or mention something specific to Harry for whatever reasons.
That's because he's always falling asleep in class.
Yeah, but there's more to it.
That's what you do with that kid. You involve him in the class.
There's more to it, Matt. Her weird little seance that she went into when she was talking to him, and I just feel like she knows more than maybe she even understands.
It's possible, I guess.
It's everybody has a special connection with Harry Potter. Doesn't anybody see this? Like, this is the most obvious thing in the world. He is the central focus of everything.
6 degrees of Harry Potter?
It's like 2. You don't have to go far.
All right.
So, I'm sure it'll be a few chapters before we get back to anything Trelawney's up to, but I'm just, I'm keeping my eye on her.
All right.
One eye over here, one eye over there, Matt.
Yes, Moody.
Okay. The climax of this chapter. This was pretty intense.
Let's see. I'm gonna stop you once before that.
Okay.
We get another mention of Rita Skeeter.
Yes.
Well, yeah, okay. I guess this is part of it. This is what incites the whole incident.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I know you. Well, actually, I don't know if your opinion's changed to Rita Skeeter or not yet.
Nope.
But so you're sitting here defending Rita yet?
I defend journalism, Matt.
Well, I highly, highly dislike the fact that she can't even get the names right in her article. This does not help her credibility at all. Like, if you're gonna be a good journalist, if you're gonna dig up the dirt and do whatever you do, I don't like the least you can do is make sure you have the names right.
Okay. Now, I agree. That's an important thing. However, the process from which a reporter puts words on paper all the way to when it gets printed and delivered goes through so many different people, crazy things tend to happen. Copy editors get a little crazy when it comes to making corrections. Sometimes they get a little ahead of themselves. Sometimes copy editors will think a name is different than what is written by the reporter. If somebody was, per se, transcribing what she was reporting, like, I don't know if she's sitting down at a typewriter or a computer. Maybe she has a house elf that she dictates
you
to.
really think the entire process of creating a newspaper is the same in the Wizarding world?
Matt, I don't know. I don't know. Yes, maybe. I don't. There has to be copy editors.
I don't know about that.
Okay, magical red pens that do the copy editing for them. Somebody's doing some sort of correction somewhere. Someone or something.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's not out of the realm of possibility for a name to be incorrect that has nothing to do with the fault of the reporter.
I think that's highly unlikely, but I suppose possible.
Now, yes, it makes her look not as credible as she would like to be seen, but it's kind of nitpicky at the same time.
I mean, you kind of get the feeling that she's trying to make these like first page articles, like big stories she's trying to dig up. Like, I just feel that she needs to put the extra time in. Like, she needs to reread it once more before it goes to print.
Deadlines are deadlines, Matt.
I don't know.
We could argue about Rita Skeeter all night.
I'm sure we could.
Let's get into the meat and potatoes here.
All right.
Malfoy is insufferable.
Understatement.
He's pretty much the worst.
Yeah.
Now, we've seen him do some pretty horrible things over the last few years.
Yeah.
He went a little too far.
Yeah. I'm still kind of amazed every time I read through it too. It's like, wow, he really pushes it.
He went there.
Yeah.
He went yo mama jokes on Ron. And he was ruthless and relentless and mean.
Doesn't stop.
For no real reason, other than he's just Malfoy and that's how horrible he is.
Yeah, and it's... I think... I always kind of wonder if he pays the same attention, puts the same effort into tormenting everybody else he comes across, or is it just Weasley and Potter sometimes too? But like he has more material with Weasley,
right? Well, and you know the rivalry is built in thanks to his dad.
Yeah. Their fathers kind of go at it, and I mean they've gotten in a fight before, physical fight,
right? So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that he treats anybody else the way he does Ron and Harry, specifically Ron. So I just him attacking Ron's mom kind of just out of nowhere for no real reason was just kind of the low of the low for him.
Yeah.
You know, and it was hard to read. Like it was upsetting, you know? Like I know the point of it was to kind of just completely villainize Malfoy at this point and show how far Ron could be pushed before he breaks. It was really uncomfortable. It was not fun to read at all.
Oh yeah.
You know, it was different when like it's him and Harry like throwing jabs at each other, but like this was just deplorable. It was so nasty and gross and ugly, and I was starting to get like emotional about it, and like I was like getting worked. I was getting mad as well as upset. In defense of Ron and in defense of Mrs. Weasley, who's like, she's an amazing woman who does amazing things for her family, and like Ron shouldn't have to deal with that from a little punk like Malfoy. And it was to the point where you start to wonder, what's the boiling point? What's going to boil over here, and how is this going to explode? Because it was a very volatile situation. Something was bound to go down. Somebody was going to get hurt or in trouble big time, right?
Yep.
This was not going to end well. And then, Matt, one of the greatest things ever in the history of ever happened.
Absolutely.
Out of nowhere. And like I'm kind of like Ron at the end of this chapter, where he's just like, just let me just bank this memory for the rest of my life, because I never want to forget the second by second details of what just happened. The most amazing thing. I couldn't have predicted this in 1,000 years. But it was so perfect, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Out of nowhere, Mad-Eye Moody comes flinging his wand around, zaps old Malfoy, turns him into a white ferret.
Yep.
And just doesn't end there. Proceeds to bounce him back and forth between the ground and the ceiling like a yo-yo.
Yeah.
To teach him a lesson.
Yep.
He's just going to town, just bouncing him, just making sure that Malfoy knows that what he did was not okay.
Well, and did you catch that it wasn't just the insults?
It was he fired his wand at Ron, right?
At Harry.
Oh, is that it? Went right past Ron.
No,
was it right past Harry's face?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Harry tried to insult Malfoy's mother.
Right.
And he's like, "Don't you dare insult my mother, Potter." And then Harry then says, "Keep your fat mouth shut," then, and turns away. And then there's this bang, and several people screamed. Harry felt something white hot graze the side of his face.
Okay. I knew it was one of them. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the second bang happened, and that's when Moody decided to stop it.
Oh, no, you don't, laddie.
He would have kept going for who knows how long.
Absolutely. he had no qualms whatsoever about this, I guess, form of punishment, as they kind of worded it.
But McGonagall came in, and she was dumbfounded.
Yep.
She was at a loss for words as to what was going on, because she didn't want to think at first that what he was doing was to a kid, a student.
Yeah, like she didn't even want to believe that he would go that far. But at the same time, it's like, why are you bouncing a ferret?
Where'd this weird white ferret come from?
Yeah, we don't have those at Hogwarts.
And she was like appalled that he would do that to a student, right? She's like, we do detentions here, or you go to the house, what are they called? House leader?
Head of house.
Head of house. And he's like, oh, okay. But like, he didn't give a damn, Matt. Like, he was just like, this is what I do, and this is what I'm going to do. And
and I like McGonagall. It's like, surely Dumbledore would have said, like, wait, Dumbledore had to warn you about not transfiguring kids,
and he even admitted, he was like, yeah, you mentioned something about it, but
maybe he might have said something, I guess.
And he doesn't even care. He is so rogue, and I don't know if he's going to be like this for the rest of the year, but he catapulted to the top of my favorite character list in like just the matter of a few pages.
Oh yeah. I think you can see. I know we'll touch in some of the emails too, but Mad-Eye Moody is definitely a favorite of a lot of people.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited to see where this goes, because he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
He is not there to play by the rules and to play nice like every other professor who's trying to keep their job at Hogwarts. He's there to teach defense against the dark arts in whichever manner he thinks is most suitable, and he's there to kick ass and take names.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, he definitely like understood the situation, what was going on. He knew something needed to happen, and so he just did it. Took it into his own hands, and like, this is how I'm dealing with it.
Immediately shut it down.
Now, does that necessarily make him the best candidate to be a teacher.
Probably not.
I'm not so sure,
No.
but yeah, not afraid to get his hands dirty.
But he's not going to play the political game of like, I'm going to dock you points and I'm going to intimidate you so you're afraid of taking my class like Snape, or, like giving you extra homework like Trelawney, and like, he's just like, no, I'm going to handle this. Like, this is going to be something that this little punk is going to remember the rest of his life. And you know what? Next time he thinks about trying to step to somebody, he's going to remember that he could instantly be turned into a ferret and bounced up against the ceiling at a moment's notice.
Yep.
So, now, this is probably going to set Malfoy on a path of just, like, utter destruction and chaos. Like, if you've ever seen, like, an origin story for a Batman villain, like, this is the quintessential origin story for a villain, This is the turning point of when Malfoy turned from just a juvenile punk to full-blown...
I was the big bad guy, and then someone stepped in and made me look like a fool.
Yep.
They're going to pay.
Never again. So I'm worried about that aspect.
Sure.
But, Moody. My goodness. My man Moody. Even at the end of the chapter, right? After everything is just kind of settled. When Fred and George are coming back from his class.
Uh-huh.
And they're just like, he knows, man. He's been there. He's done it. Like
I said, he's got stories to tell.
Oh, man. I can't wait. I hope the next chapter is his class, Ron and everybody, and Harry in his class or something. I'm so excited for his teaching.
Yep.
2 chapters, Matt. I can't speak more highly of. Like, this is what I've been waiting for in this book, with these 2 chapters.
Yeah.
The rest was just the pregame.
Yep.
This was just like, we are back. It's on. This is all aboard. I'm so excited.
Welcome back to Harry Potter.
Hooked once again, Matt.
Yep.
Drag me back.
We'll get you.
So next week we'll be reading chapters 14 and 15.
Correct.
Goblet of Fire. But before then, I think it's probably a safe guess to say that we might have some emails.
It would be.
Awesome.
But before we get there, we're going to touch on this week's Muggle Poll.
Oh, the Muggle Poll.
This week's Muggle Poll for episode 38. I figured it made most sense to talk about the most talked about guy in these 2 chapters. The man himself, Mad-Eye Moody.
Mad-Eye Moody.
So, going back once again, like I said, to that description we got of him, it was just so in-depth, and there are so many different pieces. And it got me thinking, like, there are so many different pieces to this guy. Like, he's just beat up. And so I want to know, if you could acquire one part of Mad-Eye Moody for your own personal use, would it be his wooden leg, his clawed foot, his magic eye, or his hip flask? Now, I will say, going into this, I completely expected this to be lopsided.
Sure.
Like, as Brent wrote in from the Pewtercast, is this really a debate? Like, yeah, I know.
Right.
But oddly enough, we did get votes for all 4 options.
Sure. Somebody felt bad for the wooden leg option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your thoughts? Obviously, once again, this is a situation where other people have a little more information than you do at this point, but...
Right. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Could I fill up a hip flask with butterbeer?
I would think so, as long as you know how to make it.
There's my vote.
All right.
I don't know what I'd do with the magic eye. I don't know what's magic about it quite yet, His wooden leg, I don't know what use is that. His clawed foot, just helps him stand. The hip flask, though, that could go a long ways, especially dealing with punks like Malfoy, you know?
Sure.
That's exhausting on an old guy like that. Take the edge off a little bit. Plus getting yelled at by McGonagall and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So, as I expected, we got a whopping 79% went with the magic eye.
Sure.
But then, as I also expected, second place, 17% with the hip flask.
Yeah.
We got 3 for the clawed foot and 1 for the wooden legs. But
sure.
Everybody's represented. All good stuff.
I like it.
Thank you once again to everybody who participated.
Absolutely.
Love you for it.
And you can always find the Muggle Poll up on our Twitter feed at Tales from GH, 4 p.m. Pacific time every Monday afternoon.
Yep.
Now is the time for emails.
Now I think we can get to some emails.
All right, let's do it.
All right. First email this week is from our friend Katie.
Hi, Katie.
It says, hi, guys. Just listened to the latest episode while doing laundry. Blah, laundry.
You need a house elf.
There you go. Hermione would not approve. Anyway, Josh, getting caught during reading during class was about all the trouble I got into as a kid, except for when I played pranks on my sister. But I still maintain that she started it.
Sure.
So funny story. I put down my phone to answer the door this morning, and when I came back, your podcast was playing, and my seeing eye dog, Fawn, had my phone between her paws. I think you have a puppy fan.
Aww.
She can apparently do things on the touchscreen with her nose. I can't say that I've ever heard that. I guess dog noses are enough like fingers?
Fun fact, Matt. I have done many a things with my nose on my phone.
Okay.
Especially at work, when my hands are dirty or I'm into something where I don't want it to be all over my phone screen.
Sure.
I'll pull up my phone and then use my nose to unlock it or answer a call or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely depends on the phone, I know.
Sure.
Because, like, you know, with iPhones in particular, I know they need I forget exactly what it is, but it's something like it has to actually be the skin because I think it detects something with the warmth or something like that. That's why like your nails don't work.
Has to be a little bit spongy too.
Yeah, the technology they build into those things is crazy.
Sure.
That we take for granted nowadays.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, it works. Okay. Anyway, so we have a puppy fan.
Nice. I'm curious what kind of dog Fawn is. Katie, let us know.
You'll have to help us out. It says, I'm excited for next week's chapters, but Malfoy the Amazing Bouncing Ferret would be a great album title.
Or just Bouncing Ferrets as a band name.
There you go.
Yeah.
Malfoy and the Bouncing Ferrets. Oh, yeah. Keep up the great podcasting, Katie.
Thanks, Katie.
Let's see. We got email from Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Says, hey, guys. I missed emailing the past 2 weeks due to the birth of my niece and the craziness that ensues when babies are born. So it's good to be able to send in my thoughts again. Been enjoying the shows now that we're getting into some of the bigger parts of this book. Before I get into my thoughts, I'd like to bring up something that I believe was discussed on a previous episode. You guys were talking about if Muggles would be allowed / be able to get into or see anything in Diagon Alley. Well, I was rewatching Chamber of Secrets recently, and I picked up on the fact that while they were in the bookstore after meeting Lockhart, Lucius and Hermione have a little back and forth, and Lucius makes mention of her parents being Muggles. And they cut to a visual of Arthur Weasley talking to what looks to be Hermione's parents in the bookshop. I believe, which is true. I think we might have even mentioned that on that episode.
Yeah.
It says, I never picked up on this before until this time seeing it, but I would say that we can assume that Muggles can enter Diagon Alley if they know where to find it.
Right.
Yeah, it says, unless you count only what the books say and not the movies. But I believe even in the books, it might be the third book then. I'm pretty sure in one of them it mentions Hermione's parents being there.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
Yeah,
Because they were escorting her. She was buying her supplies in the second book.
So they definitely can, but I think they need a connection to the Wizarding World, really.
Because remember, Mr. Weasley was all impressed by him and wanted to ask him questions. And
exactly.
Yeah.
On to my thoughts. I didn't realize Harry had missed all the sorting ceremonies, with the exception of his own, until J.K. mentioned it here. When I first read it, I remember thinking, oh man, that's messed up. But then as I thought about it, it's not really that big of a deal. It's not like he missed his own. That was the important one to be at, if any.
Yeah. What would happen if he missed it?
I don't know. I guess they have the list that they're supposed to be going through. Like McGonagall pulls out the list every time.
Sure.
I guess there'd be a search party, probably. Yeah. But it's kind of hard to get lost between, as long as you get on the train. From the train, Hagrid's there right away. Then you're just sitting in a boat. And as long as you don't fall, well, if you fall in, the giant squid pushes you back up. So, and then once you get to the castle, McGonagall's there. I guess. So, it's pretty hard to get lost, I think.
Pretty much,
first
have
years.
to. Once you get on the train, you're good to go.
Yeah.
But as we've seen with Ron and Harry, sometimes that's a challenge.
It's true. It's true. Let's see. Dennis Creevy, giving his brother thumbs up and mouthing excitedly that it fell in the lake, is what I would imagine Josh's reaction would be if he had fallen in the lake.
I would have came out. I would.
If only he was able to ride the giant squid the rest of the way to the castle. Yeah, I think that'd be a dream come true for you too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
The Triwizard tournament sounds like a real cool idea. Oddly enough, he actually hyphenated Triwizard here.
Yes. See? I'm not crazy.
I bet you he got the red line and corrected it. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Because, typically they won't give you a red line for hyphenated things.
Right.
Anyway, the Triwizard tournament sounds like a really cool idea, but if it was stopped due to the amount of deaths that have occurred, shouldn't they just make it a little less dangerous? After all, they are in charge of putting this thing together. It's a valid point.
Yeah. But then would it be as fun? Hard to say.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Nothing sounds more disgusting than collecting Boobatuber pus. I don't care what benefits it has. I'm not putting it anywhere on me if I can help it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Joe.
There you go. You have a fan.
Yeah.
Ron appears to be extra snarky since returning to school. He always has something to say towards Hermione, and then makes the Uranus comment to Lavender in divination. Is this the new Ron we're going to keep seeing?
I even put in my notes, Matt, that I appreciated the fact that the Uranus jokes was even funny at Hogwarts because, as a kid, that was like the biggest thing in science class when you're studying,
sure,
space and planets was Uranus.
It was one of those things like you can get away with saying it in school because I just said the name of a planet.
Yeah. So the fact that it was even funny at Hogwarts, I was just like, okay, we're connected here. I like this.
There you go. Finally, good for Harry to stand up to Draco on Ron's behalf. Not exactly sure what "get stuffed" means, but that zing about Draco's mother was great.
Yeah.
So thank you, Joe.
I'm pretty sure "get stuffed" is a UK put down, but I could be wrong.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Then we have an email from Alex. Dear Josh and Matt, hello, gents. I'm determined to reclaim my crown of being the last emailer, so please don't be mad if this one comes in really late. Well, unfortunately,
was it?
Yeah. You're not the last. Before I get to anything else this week, I can finally give a long overdue apology from way back in episode 15 for spoiling that there are house elves at Hogwarts.
Did he?
Matt deserves some of the blame too, certainly, but I've felt bad about it ever since. Of course, I didn't want to apologize then, effectively undoing Matt's cover-up. So sorry to both of you.
Do you remember this, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it in an email?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
I can try to go back and find it maybe, but yeah, it was one of those things. I think I want to say I pre-read it, and it was a section I was gonna skip because I saw that in there.
Okay.
But I made it halfway through the sentence and well, that'll sound even fishier if I just stop here. So I just kept going, I think, and hoped you wouldn't read too much into it or anything.
Sure.
And you might have reacted a little bit at the time, but I think we kind of just pushed past it and okay, we'll leave it.
Right.
Because yeah, like you said, you that was kind of a big reveal for you. You were glad I didn't mention it up until this point.
Right.
And so I'm kind of glad you forgot about it.
Apology accepted, Alex.
On to last week's episode. I need to give Josh an earful.
Boy.
First of all, I won't say anything else, but I can't wait for you to find out how far you stuck your foot in your mouth by defending Rita Skeeter.
He's going to love this episode then.
Yep. Next, I was quite frankly stunned when he said, "Not all Death Eaters are bad." This coming from the guy who refuses to acknowledge that Ravenclaws exist or that there are any good Slytherins, despite a multitude of evidence to the contrary. Yet, when introduced to the sworn followers of Lord Voldemort, you, good sir, had the audacity to tell me that some of them may be misunderstood? All because you were chosen by a Death Eater wand? I thought that Hufflepuffs were supposed to be honest, and that includes admitting when you are wrong. As for your theory about a possible double agent with the Death Eater within the Death Eater ranks, well, that is hardly an original plot device. It is plausible, but I will counter with this. In the scenario you presented, with this individual committing heinous acts of violence and murder, do the ends justify the means? Can we really root for this supposed hero if he or she has no moral high ground?
You're not supposed to root for him.
Just some food for thought.
You don't need to root for him. Just acknowledge that what they're doing is bigger than them.
But I think he has a very good point.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We exist. Anywho, I have a few quick thoughts about this week's chapter. First, I had a great time imagining how excited Josh got over reading the complete throwaway line about the giant squid saving Dennis from the lake.
It's the best.
Then we get to the introduction to probably my favorite character in the series, old Mad Eye himself. We'll obviously learn more about him, but the ferret scene alone should give you an idea of why. Finally, I love the idea of the Triwizard tournament. It's fresh, it's exciting, it's dangerous, but it does beg the question of whether or not this is a similar, whether or not there is a similar idea for wizards outside of school. The Olympics compared to the Junior Olympics, if you will.
Sure.
For that matter, there should just be a full-blown magical Olympics with tons of different events. Now, there's another movie idea for you.
Interesting.
So that is interesting. Like you were going the other way at the beginning of the book with Quidditch.
Yeah.
Like we have big pro Quidditch. Now we have this Quidditch thing in school.
Right.
But he's going the other direction. If we have a Triwizard tournament in school, is there like a professional Triwizard tournament? Or I mean, I guess it wouldn't necessarily be Triwizard. Have to be Triwizard, but some international wizard tournament.
Here's the thing. Here's how I see it.
Yeah.
Kids at Hogwarts and the other wizarding schools, like they're excited to show off what they're learning, right? And show off what they know as wizards and what they're capable of doing. I feel like once you become an adult wizard, it's just everyday life. Like it's not exciting for you to do spells and charms and that kind of stuff and transfigure and everything else and apparate. It's normal life. But like as a student, that's exciting. You're just like, look what I can do. Look what I learned. Look how good I am at it. But then you get out of school and you're just like, I need to go to work. I'm just going to apparate there. Like it's not a big deal anymore. So I don't know if there would be that interest to like show off your wizarding skills, because I don't think adult wizards really care to show it off per se.
I can see where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, it's one thing to talk about in like the terms of sports. Like, okay, there are sports in schools, and then we have professional sports.
Right.
They still want to show off what they can do. In school, you might have like a science fair,
mm-hmm.
and you might say, well, adults don't really have anything like that. But I would argue against that a little bit. Give you a show like a convention, like CES or something.
Okay.
That is these adults showing off what they can do with technology. I mean, sometimes it has a little more of a business purpose to it.
Right.
But you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, but that's also where I'm getting stuck. Like, it's more for business. It's more about, like, bettering the wizard community, not showing off their own specific abilities. You know, like, nobody's inventing a new way to travel with Muggle technology because they want to be impressive and get an award by their peers. They want to make the wizarding community better and more efficient at what they have to do, which is go to work and raise a family and live their normal lives. I see where you're coming from. Like there is a bit of using your abilities to show off a little bit, but I don't think I don't see it happening in the sense of just to show it off. There's more purpose to it.
But don't you think the wizards have always kind of had that little extra flair, that little extra push to show off a little bit? Like
sure.
we kind of got a touch of that when we went to the World Cup, and Mr. Weasley was explaining when we get together, we can't help but show off. Those were adult wizards as well.
But they're kind of showing off what they have, not necessarily what they can do. I
mean, but I think part of it is just they did some of that with magic, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. There's a chance. I can see where you're coming from. There has to be a group of people, probably most Slytherin, that are just out there to rein in the fame and glory of showing off in front of their peers. So,
sure.
Yeah. I just think it's more exciting because at a school, because it's kids, they're learning, they're doing stuff for the first time, and there is definitely that infrastructure of the better you look in front of your peers, the higher you're regarded amongst your peers.
Sure.
Where at the ministry, it's just like, oh, that's your job, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're better at this thing? I don't care, because it's still, this is my job and that's your job and whatever.
Yep.
So
that's all from that email from Alex.
All right. Thanks, Alex.
But he did send over, as requested, another email.
Okay.
Do you remember this from last week?
Nope.
So you told us that you remembered the name Mad-Eye Moody.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
And so it was from an email that Alex sent in to one of your other podcasts.
Yep.
And I asked him to send that to me so I could see what was going on here.
Okay.
So I'm not going to answer any questions you have whatsoever.
Fair enough.
I'm just going to read this thing.
Okay.
Everybody else can see where we're coming from and have some fun with it. We can talk about it in the room requirement if you want. But
this was trying to pinpoint why I remembered this name amongst all the others, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I believe you said it was probably just like in the middle of this list and you didn't know why it would have jumped out at you.
Sure.
But Here, you'll probably be able to see why it jumped out at you, but I kind of found the rest of the email kind of interesting, so we're just going to read the whole thing.
Okay.
It's short. It's okay.
It's safe.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, safe enough.
Okay.
It's one of those things that, like...
Without context?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are going to be a lot of names. Some you know, some you don't know.
Sure.
But, like I said, I am not answering any questions.
Okay. Not
reacting. We're just going to go through it.
Okay.
So he asks, this question is mostly for Josh, but Jason, feel free to chime in. Are there any Harry Potter characters that are currently unannounced that you would like to see as figures in LEGO Dimensions?
Okay.
So you can see where he was going with this.
Sure.
And this is when we all knew that you didn't know anything about Harry Potter. You didn't care to know anything about Harry Potter.
I didn't even pretend to.
And so this was Alex kind of poking at Jim.
Right.
He says some ideas are Professor Lupin, Tonks, Scabbers, Millicent Bulstrode, Hedwig, Ollivander, Dobby, Victor Crumb, Nearly Headless Nick, Bellatrix Lestrange, the Whomping Willow, Cornelius Fudge, Crookshanks, Hagrid, Aberforth, Norbert the Norwegian Ridgeback, Cedric Diggory, Buckbeak, Dudley, Professor Flitwick, Moaning Myrtle, a Dementor, Gilderoy Lockhart, Pigwidgeon, Crab and Goyle, or any of the Weasleys. Personally, I would love to see an Animagus character and Mad-Eye Moody.
That's why.
Yes.
Fascinating. So many characters I know, Matt.
Yep.
So many I don't know.
Well done, Alex. You may have planted the seed.
So let's talk about Beatrix Lestrange real quick.
Bellatrix?
Bellatrix Lestrange.
Yeah, let's not.
Okay. Matt,
all right.
That last name sounds familiar, Matt.
Yep.
Okay.
I knew you'd pick up on that too. I almost skipped over it. Almost.
Okay.
Anyway, our final email from the one, the only, our headmistress, Mel B.
Hey, Mel.
It says, hey, Josh and Matt. So, Dumbledore revealed the big secret that the Ministry was keeping. And it was indeed a secret. No one outside the Ministry was supposed to know. But let's forget about the death tournament. The real interesting thing about these chapters was, of course, Moody. His entrance, walking through the door as the storm raged outside. That's just an epic entrance. I love it. Also, you're right. He is the kind of guy who brings his own flask, not trusting not trusting anything someone else prepares. I do wonder about you, Josh. Some of your random comments and predictions are very on point. Are you related to Trelawney?
Ooh, we have a special bond, I think.
The first day is pretty boring. Hagrid has some new beasts, and Trelawney is predicting pain and suffering for Harry. But then Moody makes it interesting, turning Draco into a ferret. I laugh every time I read that scene. Moody's discipline is certainly different and very much unapproved by McGonagall. I get the feeling Draco's punishment went on for a few minutes before McGonagall turned up. Moody's creepy magical eye is pretty creepy, though. Sure, it's useful if you're crazy paranoid ex-Auror, but the implications are creepy. I chose it in the Muggle poll, but I would use it very wisely. There are some things that should not be seen.
Fair enough.
So, Moody knows Lucius Malfoy and Snape from the old days?
Oh, yes.
What could that be about? Sounds like a theory waiting to happen, Josh.
It feels like it. Where's Lupin when you need him? I need... He was the linchpin to everything, so...
Yeah, we know he knew Snape, but I don't know about Lucius.
No, but if somebody knew Snape before... Too many connections to make here, Matt.
All right.
I feel like Moody knows a lot of people. And I feel like a lot of people know Moody.
Yeah. now that I've gotten that off my chest, the Triwizard Tournament. Dumbledore does not make it sound too appealing. Sure, eternal glory, but you might die. The death toll rose so high they canceled it. Once you know more about the tournament, I will let you know what the final straw was that canceled it in the first place. It's pretty funny. The Creevy brothers are so excitable. Although they are a little bit annoying, I feel like I would be like them when coming to Hogwarts each year.
Right.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Yeah,
Sure.
I think that's that. I kind of wonder if that's why they're there. If that's the fans.
Right.
She kind of wrote the fans into this story.
Yeah.
It's like everybody, their biggest dream, they want to come to Hogwarts, and this is how they would react.
Right. Yeah.
Josh, you brought up families being sorted into the same houses a few episodes ago. The Patil twins are definitely interesting because they are twins who clearly show a core difference in what they value and the behavior they exhibit, which we kind of talked about already.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hagrid has a new creature, which will no doubt grow to be extremely dangerous.
Most likely.
And knowing his track record, that's if they survive. Hagrid doesn't even know what they eat yet. She's got a good point.
Yeah.
I suppose I can't figure out what they eat. They may not make it. Trelawney is at it again. That's all I'm saying about her.
Yeah. That's all that needs to be said, really.
Yep.
Yeah.
Draco was completely out of line, being so horrible about Ron's parents. Draco deserves the good scare he got. The best part is Moody is so unapologetic about it.
Yep.
Dumbledore might have mentioned the proper way to discipline students, but only maybe. Yeah. Looking forward to your first class with Moody. What do you think of his... Oh, what do you think of this defense teacher? Think he has the gumption to last the year? Do you think he's good or evil? From what you've seen and heard, how do you think he would rate on the scale of Lockhart to Lupin?
I think he is his own scale, to be honest with you. I don't think he falls into a scale in any way, shape, or form.
Well, she says maybe save that verdict for until after you see his first lesson.
I can tell you right now, he's not on any scale.
All right.
Also, I will say this, and this is what I've just kind of remembered here. This means that I was so wrong on a Muggle Theories episode when I was trying to predict what would happen in this book.
Yeah?
Yeah, I predicted that we'd have our first female Defense Against the Dark Arts professor.
Also true.
Yep, and that did not happen. So, that's one in the old fail column there. So, I every once in a while I get a flask right, but then most of the time I throw out stuff like that. And...
You could say it was a flask in the pan.
Yeah. Dumbledore, write your jokes.
Colin will love that one.
Yeah.
All right. She finishes up then with, as promised, here's my impression of Moody. A combination of movie appearance and how I imagine him in my head, dampened by my lack of real drawing talent / skill. He has a duck foot instead of a claw. So I'll send this over to you in the chat so you can see it now.
Okay.
But I will also share this with the masses on Twitter sometime this week when I remember to send it out there. If you don't see it in the first couple days, someone get on me and I'll be sure to get that posted.
Sure.
But yeah, Mel was the one who sent in the picture of all the Defense Against the Dark Arts teachers that we've had up till this point.
Right.
And she had a big question mark for year 4. And so she added a little picture here for you of her impression of Moody.
He looks crazy as ever. I like it.
So, she can't wait for next week.
Neither can I.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
Well, there you go. That is it for emails.
Fantastic. Next week, chapters 13 and 14.
14 and 15.
14 and 15.
You can reread 13 if you want, but you should also read 15.
I mean, you probably should. It was a really good chapter. But definitely read 14 and 15. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Matt, before we go,
Yes,
we have a new giveaway.
we do.
Starting tonight. Starting right now. As soon as you are hearing this. The giveaway. We are going to give away another copy of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. It is coming out March 28th, I believe.
I believe that is right.
We'll give it away on Blu-ray. If you want just a normal DVD, for whatever reason, you don't have a Blu-ray player, we could definitely accommodate that, but we will offer the Blu-ray version if you so choose. So, next week, we will give that out next Monday. Here is the assignment for this week, if you want to enter. Now, again, please, even if you just won, we encourage your participation in this. This is going to be extra special. There's a reason why we're going to encourage participation in this. Now, announced at the beginning of the show, we are going to be doing an AMA / Q&A / Ask Muggle Anything and Ask Matt Anything episode of Butterbeer Banter in April 9th, Sunday.
Yep.
Not to be confused with September. That's going to be a live episode for our Patreon supporters that will go up on the feed for everybody else to listen to. However, the show will not happen without questions from you guys. So, this week, if you send in an email to talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com and you put in the subject line of AMA or Q&A or whatever you want to title it, so it's distinctly just for that episode to ask myself, Matt, or both of us a question that you want to know about us. It doesn't have to be about Harry Potter. It could be about anything about our lives that you want to know about. You send in an email, you are entered to win a copy of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Brilliant.
How about that? 2 birds, 1 stone, Matt.
Absolutely.
Do a giveaway. We also get some emails with some awesome questions from the people out there. Even if you've won, we still need your emails. We still need your questions because we want to have a jam-packed episode answering all of your questions that you have for us. Anything you want to know, we will talk about.
The only stipulation I'm going to throw out there is I don't think we're going to have a problem with it, but do keep it family friendly.
Oh, sure.
We do know we have kids listening to the show, and we have always strived to keep this family friendly. So, but anything else that falls into that category that you want to know, go ahead and ask.
Absolutely. So, you send in your email before next week's show. You get entered to win. We will still be accepting emails after the fact, but this is like an early bird special. You get it in this first week.
There you go.
Makes Matt happy because he could organize the emails better, more efficiently before the big episode. And this will give you an opportunity to win a cool prize. So, talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com.
You got it.
Matt, thank you for another wonderful episode, my friend.
You're welcome.
Thank you for indulging me in all the crazy things I say.
It's the best part of the show.
Even the times that you adamantly disagree with the arguments I'm trying to make. I appreciate you, Matt. I really do.
Glad to hear.
And you know what? I appreciate everybody else out there also. You guys are all fantastic. Thank you for letting us do the show and letting us have the fun that we do with it. So, you could find me personally on Twitter at The Noise with a Y. Please be sure to follow the show on Twitter at TalesFromGH. And if you'd like to support us and help us do all these amazing giveaways, be a part of the live streamed version of the AMA episode that we're going to be doing on April 9th, all you have to do is support us at any level on Patreon. Patreon.com/Tales from Godric's Hollow. You do that by the end of the month, you will be eligible to participate in the live stream version of the show. And all of your wonderful contributions go to the prizes and keeping the show going the way it is. So thank you to everyone for that. Matt, where can people find you at?
You can always find me personally on Twitter at As a Matter of Matt. Or as Josh mentioned earlier, I'm in charge of the email account. I will be getting all those emails. So whether you're sending in AMA questions or questions for the week or whatever you want to talk about, emails are always open at talesfromgodricshollow@gmail.com.
Absolutely. And hope everybody has a wonderful week. I'm going to go just think about the giant squid some more, worry about the console of ghosts at Hogwarts, and, try to figure out what I could do as a muggle to help improve House Elf rights. Until next week, Muggle out.
Mischief managed.